veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no, I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say,
Ooh, what is that? What is that? I got something up on the board that shouldn't be there. Hold on a second. Oh, okay, I see what happened. Yeah. Man, those are my secret private notes. I could have been talking about somebody, doggone it. Okay. All right. There we go. That's what I'm looking for in the banners. I gotta clean some of this stuff out. But okay. Hey, we are back. We are back. Welcome back. Thank you for being here, guys. It's Ready to Love, Make a Move. The first season, season 1, episode 6, a big easy birthday. How are you gentlemen doing?
Oh, good, thank you.
Very well. It's a good day.
Doing well. Sean, you're up top, looking good. I like that background.
Good afternoon,
That's
Harvey.
nice.
Good afternoon. I didn't get a change.
Huh?
Well, thank you. It ain't my house though. It's not my house.
Oh, okay. Hey, look, I was about to fly over there to Dallas, man, and check out that piano you got in your living room. What? Don't tell me that's not real.
Hey, if you can play it, you can have it.
I can't.
How you doing, James? I didn't get a chance to speak to you the first time.
Oh no! I thought we covered it. I thought we did. Yeah,
Cause
that's right, guys. Sean is a return. You go over there if you haven't already. Check out what we had to say about this week about Lauren and Orion, who was our highlight couple, and that whole mishmash of racial tension. We had a lot to say, and Sean was so kind. He even let me go off on a whole entire rant about that thing because I was upset. I was upset. Lauren, shame on you, Lauren. Shame on you. Shame on you. But go over there and check that out if you haven't already. We've got a whole thing about that. So we're covering maps this season in Denver. And I'm letting everybody have it. The black people, the indigenous people, everybody gets some smoke, okay? Everybody. But how are you doing? What's the weather like where you are? In case they didn't see our last podcast, Sean, what's the weather like?
63 and rainy.
63 and rainy. Okay, that's in Dallas, Texas, guys. For those of you that don't know about Sean, he's in Dallas, Texas. And what about you, JR? What's it like in the UK where you are?
Man, it's warm. Rain, intermittent rain. But
intermittent.
For the time of year, it's very warm.
Oh wow! Okay, I'm liking it. I need to pack my bags and get over that way because here in Michigan it is not warm. Would you say? What would you tell them, Calvin, if you had to tell them about this Detroit, Michigan weather?
Well, it's not warm. It had been maybe a week or so ago, but it's not any snow. It's not extremely cold. It's moderate. It's fair. It's moving towards winter, so we just have to bunker down. We're Michiganders. We know what to do.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, it's Michigan. If you wanted warmth, you wouldn't move to or live in Michigan. Not after October. You're in the wrong spot. You're in the wrong spot because I always tell people I consider this like Southern Canada. Detroit is the only city in America, North America, that is actually north of Canada. Detroit is actually north. So Windsor, Ontario sits beneath us. Okay. So think about how cold Canada is. Yeah. So basically we're in Canada. Okay. Yeah. So that's one way of looking at it. But what did you guys think in general about this week's episode? Go ahead, JR.
Yeah, I think there were some surprises because I think particularly Charisse, the way she let down her guy, I was surprised at how pleasant she was while doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Okay.
I think also Cam standing up Zadia. I think that was a production thing, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
sure we're going to go
Yeah.
around and talk about that, but I don't think someone who has a connection like they have would just not say that they're not turning up
Mm-hmm.
and stand her up like that. I don't think that happened.
Right. Yeah. I kind of wondered. I wondered the same thing myself. We're gonna talk. You're right. We're gonna definitely talk about that when we get to it. Any other thoughts, Calvin? What were
Well, not
your
picking on Ashley, not picking on her, but it seems like she's becoming more aware of the fact that she needs to be more comfortable with herself. That keeps showing up. She's still attached to what's the guy named Donald, even though she ditched him, but she's still attached to him. She has to be okay with herself, and her insecurities she has to address. She has to address and be okay with doing the work.
There you go.
I think they're really paying more attention to the role that they play. All of them playing more and being more aware of the role that they play in terms of why they're still single, why relationships have not panned out. And instead of blaming somebody else, it seems like they move in the direction and take responsibility for the direction it needs to go.
All right. Always,
Wow.
always great observations.
Mm.
And to Sean, what were your thoughts?
Well, I agree with JR. I believe a lot of it was production driven. Uh, it's I was disappointed with the men that were chosen. I was disappointed. Based on the clip what you sent, I'm not going to go too much in the clip you sent me last night. But basically, looking at the men, I was disappointed with the brothers.
What disappointed you about the brothers?
One of the brothers just looked refined when they were on a date, but then he turned into a pure
Oh
hoe
yeah, we gonna
at the
talk about
party.
that.
He had too much.
Yeah, because I was falling for that. I was falling for the refined gentleman part. You know me, I'm a sucker for a gentleman.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Had
That
him
liquor was that liquor
had him pulling out chairs. I'm sorry. Go. What were you gonna say, Jr.?
that liquor got to his head a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Disappointing. Disappointing. I
All right,
mean,
so
to
where are we
me,
starting?
how do you? Well, wait a minute, Jr. I got a question for you, real quick. How do you at these people are all big ages? Like nobody is a teenager, nobody is early mid-20s. They're all 30 plus. How do you not know your reaction to alcohol at that point in your life that you go and get liquored up and you can't control yourself? How does that happen?
That may be how you drink. You
Say again. I
That may
couldn't hear.
just be his way of drinking.
Okay.
Because some people, everybody don't drink the same way. Because that's the thing about drinking, it creeps up on you. You start drinking, then the next thing you know, you had another. Then the next thing you had too much to drink. But like they say, maybe that makes him feel comfortable with himself. Or maybe you have a drinking problem.
Okay. I guess I never look at it like that because to me, you're young at whatever age there's a legal drinking age where like, depending on country, state, 21, 19, 18, you start drinking. And to me, somewhere in those first couple of years, you kind of figure out what's your formula. Like, I don't know, maybe it's me, but I always from a very young age when I started drinking, um, I always knew that I wanted to be in control of my faculties. So I figured out pretty quickly that to stay within a 1 to 2 drink limit and to take those very slowly on a full stomach. That's my formula for success. So I'm not doing no more than that. You can't tease me. You can't provoke me. You can't give me free drinks. I don't care. I don't want it. But I know everybody's not as controlled as I am, but I
No,
just I don't like seeing drunk people, especially drunk men.
see, the thing is,
Mm-hmm.
Calvin's right. People approach drink and other vices in different ways, right? But particularly with drink, There are people that drink to be social. There are people that drink to release their inhibitions, stuff they wouldn't normally feel comfortable
Yeah.
saying or acting like.
Mhm.
They drink to get that out of them.
Mhm.
And some people associate drink with having a good time. They can't have a good time without there being some drink in the place.
Mhm.
So, but the key thing is to know your limits and to drink in moderation.
Yeah.
So, you're right, Aubrey. By his grown age, he should know that there's certain types of drinks that may, if he has two or three of those, it's going to send him over the edge. Um, but if the drinks are free and you're not paying for them, there's also some people that will indulge more because it's on the house.
Absolutely. And then that tells me, for me
Well,
as a
yeah,
woman,
that's right. I was gonna say he's not paying for it, so he can drink it.
well, yeah, but okay.
But it's still
I,
such
I,
thing as drinking responsible so that you don't get
yeah.
overboard quickly,
Hmm.
Some people like to drink to excess. Some people like to drink to excess. That's their MO. Some people, that's how they
That's
drink.
true.
That's how they
That's
drink.
true.
Mhm.
It looks as though Monique is in your part of the world, Sean. So I don't know what Bucky's is, but sounds like she's right around the corner from you. So when we get
Buckeyes.
finished with this podcast, hey, you know what? It might be our first actually Aubrey meetup without Aubrey there.
Mhm.
That's a small world. It's funny as I'm doing these podcasts. It is a small world. I am
Mhm.
finding out there are more people closer to me right here in the Michigan
Mhm. Yeah.
area
Mhm.
that do podcasts. And I said, well, we're
Mhm.
gonna have to next summer maybe try to have a meetup because
Mhm.
this is very interesting. Very, very
Mhm.
interesting. Um, but okay, guys, let's go ahead and get on into these notes here. I'm trying to say hi to everybody. Welcome in
Mhm.
Monique, Mimi. I love what Mimi said. That's why I was chuckling, guys. I couldn't control myself. Mimi said he thought he was on the carnival
Uh,
celebration.
mhm.
I couldn't help. That is too funny. That is too funny. Like, is that the ship, Mimi? Is that the Carnival Cruise?
Mhm.
Yeah. So anyway, we start this episode off. We pick up where we left off last week as we ended. We remember we saw Ashley and the ladies, they were all in the living room talking with matchmaker Tamika. Who's making that noise? You know that sounds terrible in my ear, right? We were with Ashley, and Ashley was saying that she had been done wrong by Stormy. Stormy's dress took all the attention away from her. Stormy was single. It took all the attention away from her. And it's all Stormy's fault. And she is just having like almost like a toddler
Mhm. A meltdown.
tantrum.
Mhm.
She was having a
Hmm.
whole tantrum. So guys, tell me, what do you guys make of that? What did you make of
Mhm.
her this week, finishing off that what she's telling Tamika?
Boy, she holds on to things too much, to be honest.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
Listen, I think we can see that there is some level of insecurity there, and she's admitted to it herself. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's quite evident, right?
Mhm.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
she apparently she didn't have a hand in necessarily choosing Stormy to come along. Stormy wasn't aware of what the task actually was or whatever, according to the social media.
Right,
But
right, right.
still,
Thank you for adding that. Right. Mm-hmm.
yeah, like if you're in a situation where you're going to allow one of your friends to come and vet this guy, um, you know, admittedly, it didn't go the way she planned it. But I think Ashley isn't the type of person that would do well in that situation. That she wants all the attention on her. So by introducing a third party, it's going to distract from you getting to know her. And she wants your eyes on her only, which
Yeah,
is fair. That's fair.
Hmm.
But I don't think you
that's
can be
fair.
insecure and try
Yeah.
to have a problem weeks a week after the event.
Mhm.
Right. Well, and JR, to your point, so it's fair, but is it realistic, whether it's on a reality TV show where there's a bunch of other beautiful women, and who knows, when they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, who knows if this guy finds you to be the most beautiful, or maybe he likes someone more along the lines of Stormy.
Mhm.
It's not realistic, and that's why I didn't say, you know, I didn't use that word, but it's definitely not realistic because as we've seen already, there are some ladies who have been selected to be with some of the guys, and one or two of them have gone and got numbers from some of the other ladies.
Mm-hmm.
So just like the ladies are keeping their options open because they don't want to commit too early in some cases, there are some guys who are like, yeah, I went on a date with Zadia, and then
Mm-hmm.
now I want to get Venetia's digits as
Yeah.
well. Things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, unrealistic. Everyone's dating to try and find a connection, and it may not be Ashley straight away.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. That's an excellent point. Calvin, what were your thoughts? And especially as a counselor or a former counselor, what did you think about when she talked about be the fact that she is insecure? How would you address her?
Well, you admitted to it, but what you're going to do about it is the key. You acknowledge that you have some deep rooted insecurities, and like somebody else said in the episode, maybe you should sit down with a life coach. Maybe you should sit down with some kind of counselor just to get in tune with your feelings and your thoughts and kind of be able to be more functional within yourself. Because how can you be an asset to somebody else and you have all these deep
Insecurity.
rooted insecurities? They prevent you from being the kind of person you need to be. And if you're not good for yourself, how can you be good for somebody else? Be
Mm,
fair to yourself. She's 30 something years old, mid 30s. So, in a few years be 40. And you have yet to establish kind of relation with somebody that you need to. Maybe you need to pay more attention to how you function, how you don't function, and be honest with yourself.
mhm.
Because you're getting old and you still have the same pattern.
Right.
Right.
And the ladies have picked up that Ashley seems to be looking at what they're doing or what they're dressed like and all these other different things. And that's what they were speaking about as well. That she's paying so much attention to what other people are doing. So I have a question actually for Aubrey, which
Okay.
is, do you think that Ashley
Mm-mm.
overcompensates with her bubbly personality to mask the insecurities?
Yes, you so let me make sure I heard you because there was a little bit of noise in the
Oh,
microphone.
sorry about that.
I'm sorry, but when you have I think when it's your podcast that originates from your stream, I'm not trying to be funny, but it is the loudest thing in my ear, and I actually turned dial back my headset, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's still noisy, but I have to have it loud enough so I can actually hear you guys speaking. But JR, could you give me that question one more time? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I was saying, like, do you think that Ashley's personality, the way she comes across bubbly, energetic at times, do you think
Mhm.
that's something she does to overcompensate for the insecurities that she has?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. So JR is asking me, do I think that Ashley's bubbly personality is a mark of her overcompensating for something else or insecurity? I absolutely believe that. Yes, to your question, I feel like, and I think it's insecurity, but JR, I don't know. It's maybe, and I'm probably gonna. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I feel like there's also something else there. I feel like personally, and this may or may not be true, so I don't know, but this is my feeling. I think that there's also a unhealed wound there, a very deep wound that has not resolved itself and that she needs to get additional help with, if that makes sense. Yeah, I do. I think it's definitely the bubbliness and the always I'm so excited, I'm always on the number 10 is hiding something, is overcompensating for something. And those are the two things. I think it's one, the insecurity, but also I think it's a deep wound. And if you ever watch Ashley in this, because I had to actually watch this over and over again a few times to really get it and put my notes together. And so I'm watching it, and Ashley has a thing that I don't know if anybody's really caught. She overtalks like Kirsten and any of the fellows that she's talking to. That's problematic. That's
Hmm.
very problematic to overtalk someone, because so when you're overtalking someone all the time, you're never really going to understand what it is they're thinking or feeling about you.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
that seems to be a problem, because Ashley seems to really lack discernment in her situations, right?
Hmm. I think she seems very fragile. Like she's high, like up on a high 1 minute, and then the slightest thing can just bring it all crashing down.
Yeah. Hmm.
So that
Sean,
in a relationship that she's gonna have,
Hmm.
that may come back to, that may linger as a relationship develops.
Hmm.
Extreme
yeah,
highs and extreme lows.
yes, that's it. That is it. That's exactly what I'm noticing too, JR. Extreme highs and extreme lows. And that
Hmm.
to me is that's a whole nother issue, right? That could be chemical,
Hmm.
that could
Mhm.
be a whole lot of things, but that's not good. Like it's better to stay kind
Hmm.
of in the middle in life, right? Because otherwise every little breeze that blows will knock you high,
Hmm.
then knock you low.
Mhm.
So that's the thing. Sean, what are your thoughts about this with Ashley? Is she giving off these insecure vibes to you? And if so, um, she tells us that she's working on it. I guess the question I would have asked if I were the matchmaker in that moment was, well, you
How?
mind sharing with us? Yeah, exactly. Would you mind sharing
How,
with us
how,
what exactly are you, have you tried or what are you doing? I,
Dating.
I'd like the
Woman on
matchmaker to
the
go
show.
deeper.
yeah,
Huh? I'm
that's
sorry.
exactly my sentiments. Yeah,
That,
that's exactly my
I think
sentiments
that.
because she definitely is insecure. You know,
Hmm.
she definitely sees the other women as her competition, not necessarily her companions per se. And I think that overwhelming bubbly personality is just an overcompensation for an element of rejection that's in her life. Not trying to play a therapist or nothing like that, or trying to be a psychologist or psychotherapist. But I think that's exactly what it is. That she's just overcompensating for rejection that's happened in her life.
Hmm.
Mm.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So, um, and then we move on. Speaking of Ashley, mm,
Hmm.
uh, I think the other thing, and one last thing I want to say before we move on, is that in this moment when she's talking about Stormy this, Stormy that, the way Stormy's
Hmm.
dress was like a move something dress, and Stormy was
Mhm.
telling us that she was single. The one thing I also wanted to know from, again, if the matchmaker could have asked this question, was, but what was Kirsten doing?
Hmm.
Where
Exactly.
was the ownership and the onus on Kirsten to, regardless of if Beyonce had showed up, it was
Yeah.
Kirsten's responsibility or not to behave to Beyonce slash
Hmm.
Stormy, um, and really still be interested in the woman that he was there to date, which is Ashley. And it doesn't mean that he couldn't engage Stormy in conversation or answer Stormy's questions, but everything should have been, in my mind, a lot of things should have been. But I'm really enjoying getting to know Ashley. Ashley and I are creating a bond, or yada yada yada, whatever. But I never really saw any of that, and even to the point when Ashley got up from the table and ran away to production, he didn't even try to go see what was wrong with her. Instead, this is still this, guys. Talk about holding a grudge. Okay, talk
Hmm.
about holding a grudge. I'm still holding a grudge. Yes, I am. That Kirsten would sit up there, big old grown man that he is, former professional basketball player, and pick up a woman's fan and start fanning himself. I'm sorry, I can't unsee that.
But what
I
did
can't.
that convey? Who was he vested in? Was he vested in
Mm-hmm,
himself, or was he vested in Ashley? He was more. It shows that Ashley didn't really matter like she thought she
exactly.
mattered. That's all. I mean, here it is. Another woman is on the scene, and your focal point is shifted to her. You're mesmerized by her, not just her whole aura and what she exuded, and you was embracing her more so than you discounted Ashley the minute she showed up, and you had no remorse about that. It was obvious
None.
that the focal point was on Stormy more so than Ashley.
Exactly. And that was by his own choosing, by the
That
way.
was
It
his
did, to
choice. That
me,
was
it
his
shouldn't
choice.
have mattered what dress she had on. I mean,
No.
short of her coming there naked, it really shouldn't have mattered what she had on. If he's really interested in getting to know Ashley, and like he told us a couple weeks ago, I believe it was Kirsten that told Ashley, said, "Oh, I'm really here for love. You don't have
Yeah.
to worry about me, right?" Am I wrong,
Mm-hmm.
Jr.?
Yeah.
Wasn't that Kirsten that told us that he was there for love? He told Ashley that.
Yeah, but he didn't say he loved her yet.
That's right.
No, he did not. He did not. You're right. You, and so to that point, you bring up my other point. So this is where Ashley, to me as a woman, has to begin to discern actions over what someone says. Because a man will say anything. I mean, I don't know if anybody grew up with my dad or other dads that were in the home. Most of the men that are good men to me will explain to their daughter very early on in life is that men say whatever it takes to get the yams, as JR would say. They want to get those yams in, so they're gonna say, "Hey, baby, you look good. You look good. I love you. I'm here for love. Yes, I am, Ashley." But it's up to us as grown women to discern what are their actions really saying. That's what our job is. That's the whole job to me of dating. That's a big part of it as a woman is discerning truth from fiction, right?
That's true. And as a man, we have to use an element of discernment as well to make sure that we are picking the right woman and investing the right time, the right
Mm-hmm.
amount of time in the ladies that we want to move forward with. And let's be fair,
Absolutely.
it seems like both Ashley and Kirsten were more interested in Stormy than they were each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. You know, I got a new thing, JR. You weren't here last episode. Oh, I'm sorry, last podcast. I'm ringing my bell when someone has the ring of truth. So that's the truth bell, okay? Yes, yes, say that. Say that. The men have to be
Mhm.
discerning also. I agree. I agree totally. So we move forward and we see that the women have to tell their keepers whether they keep them or not. There were a few surprises because, once again, speaking on Ashley, I might as well get her out the way. Ashley decides, surprisingly, above all common sense, Ashley decides to keep Kirsten. What the? Was anybody else surprised by this? Because I was shocked. I was shocked.
But
I
that,
was surprised because of how impacted she was by the whole Stormy thing. So I was surprised.
but that
I'm sorry.
shows her deep-rooted insecurity stuff. You still letting him do what he do to you, and you don't stand your ground. You want somebody to validate you so much, and it's costing you. And you've been in that pattern for a long time. You choose the wrong guys for you, then you wonder why things don't work out. You're still trying to hold on to what you got. So she has a lot of stuff that she needs to work on before you really can work on relationships. She needs to put more energy into herself, and be okay with that. Maybe you need to just take time out and stay on the sidelines and get more in tune with do you love yourself.
Okay. Okay. You gotta. Would you say a person has to, whether man or woman, a person has to love themselves first and foremost?
But that's important because see, a person compliments you, they don't complete you. You look for somebody else to give you something that you don't give to yourself. Be more in tune with who you really are, and not the person that you allow to be just done any kind of way consistently. Then you have all these you playing your violin all the time. You being not in tune with the fact that you broke it, and but you can get yourself back on track, but you really have to put more work into yourself and get to the root of why you just consistently allow yourself to be compromised.
Oh my goodness. I think you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Mhm.
Sean, what is your takeaway? Were you surprised, first of all, that Ashley decided to keep Kirsten after that scene from last week?
Either A, that scene was not real, it was edited terribly, or B, she definitely really has low self esteem because I mean,
Mm,
to pick him like that, if the scene was real, shows really she has really low self esteem
Mhm.
because you ain't just sit there sit there and play in my face and sit there and flirt with another woman, and then I'm gonna take you like nothing's happened and all that. So I think it really showed the low self-esteem that she displays each week.
Mm, good point. Good point. Good point. Good point. Um, and so also, I think there was one other surprise. I'm trying to remember. Jr., help me with this, please. The ladies made their decision. Did we see? I don't think. Did we see Vern? What was Vern's decision? Was this the week that
To
Vern
get rid of
decided to?
Jabari.
Yeah, she got rid of Jabari.
Ah, yes, that was okay. That was were you surprised? Were you surprised by that? Let me start with you. Were you surprised by that?
Mm, mm, not really. Um, Vern is giving me too many contradictions. Um, I say that because she wants love, she wants the relationship and all that stuff. And in most cases, a structured guy, would be an asset. Someone who's not working long, late hours, always trying to change hustles and all that stuff. He's pretty stable in what he does, but that
Right.
doesn't fit with her, with how she does her daily. So if that was enough of a concern for her, then I understand the decision. But were they really compatible otherwise? I'm not sure. They did have a connection. They still probably do, but um, yeah. Venetia, I'm not sure if she's going to meet someone who connects with her so soon after letting him go.
Okay. Okay, because you felt is it let me ask you a question, JR. Is it true? Would you say it's true? You felt that Vern and Jabari really had a genuine connection, a stronger connection, correct?
Hmm. Correct.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I can see that. I can see that. I felt the same way too. I felt like they had a very because you could see their chemistry off the screen, like literally, right? You could feel
Hmm.
the fire, the heat. But I wonder, and I keep asking myself this because Vern's not here for me to ask her yet. But I have to ask myself though too. It seems to me that Vern picks men just like when her season of Ready to Love, when she picked Joelle, she picks men who she has a lot of fiery, very sexual tension, physical tension with, and chemistry with, right? But
Hmm.
I'm wondering if maybe her question with Jabari is, while we have this chemistry and we seem to get along well, that she really doesn't, because the things that he was saying, at least on the date last week with her friend Liz, he's basically saying he wants a at-home homemaker, and that's not who she is.
Exactly. And that's where, like I said, I can understand why she did get rid of him, because life wise they don't match. But he may match for someone else who's looking for someone stable. So is he back on? Is he fair game for any of the other ladies? Not saying that it will happen, but are they fair? Is he fair game to be snapped up by someone that wants more of a stable life? And if Benicia is looking for someone who has a similar work pattern to her, then how much time are they going to spend cultivating a relationship with each other? They're both going to be working all hours under the sun, pursuing various different hustles. So how much quality time are they going to spend to get to know each other and do life with?
Yeah,
Makes sense.
Monique King says she'll take him. She'll take that 40-hour a week man that's home by 8 and in bed by 10. She said she'll take him and love him down. I'm adding to what she actually said, but yeah, I think a lot of women. Hey, you know what, guys? Tell me this. I'm gonna go right real quick. Tell me this. What do you think about Jabari for Ashley? He's
He's a
older.
homebody.
He's
He's a
mature.
homebody, and
He's a
he's
homebody. Yeah.
but that's
Mm,
just it. It's interesting because you're in the household together. you should be working on um, working together to get to know and be honest and transparent about why is it that you're still having challenges at this stage in your life. You're moving towards 40 years old. So why isn't it you have not had significant, sustainable relationship? It's a great opportunity to sit down, just do some um, therapeutic assessment of yourself. Why are you still challenged in the dating game? You're older now, you're seasoned, so you should be able to know what you want and be in a position to get it. And if you're not, why are you not getting what you need? What is it about you? Okay, the guys, yes, but what is it about you? You're not able to have a sustainable, enduring, long-term relationship. Where you still just kind of relationship of convenience, going by looks, but not being able to have a man that's into you, and you're almost 40 years old. Something wrong. Not the judge, not the judge. It's just that you have experience and you should have understanding, and this should mesh some kind of way you make better decisions.
While we're on Vern and her Jabari and letting her keep her Jabari go, I've got to bring this to the stage. Wait a minute, hold on. Where did I see it at? Hold on one second. Just saw it. There's so many comments, and thank you guys for being very active in the chat. I love it. I love to see it. Oh, here, Mimi said it. Okay, we got to address this because we've never really talked about this. And if you don't feel comfortable, that's fine. I understand it. But as the last 5-6 weeks have gone by, Vern, we noticed that she likes to dress a little seductive. The clothes are tight. All of the ladies are wearing tight clothes, but none of them are quite as curvy, let's say, as she is, as Vern is. And then I guess the other thing, to be fair, and I'm going to say this, we got to be very careful with these the words we use here. So Vern, sometimes we catch her and her headlights, if you want to say. Her headlights are flashing. They're on and they're in full effect in these tops and these tight dresses at the top. If you follow what I'm saying, her headlights, right?
But those are her assets, okay?
Yeah, the assets in the
and
front,
she knows
right?
how to promote them,
She knows how to promote them, right? She had them specially done, and she wants you to observe that she does have them, and that's a great thing, I guess, for those that like that. But I'm going to ask you guys, because I'm the only woman here. How do you feel? How do you feel, and how do you think these men feel when they go out on these dates, and the first time they're meeting her on a blind date, the headlights are on, and she's wearing something really tight, really like a club type of move something dress. We'll start with Calvin. Calvin, how do you think the guys feel about that? The club outfits, as Mimi calls them.
Well, be fair to yourself. Be fair to yourself, because it's not double standards. It's not double standards. Please understand me. But it's just that when a guy looks for something, he wants something reasonable, shall I say? That's like a car. You want a car that doesn't have a lot of wear and tear.
Okay.
Okay. Please understand me. That does have a lot of wear and tear. That it's gonna be something that's gonna be get you where you need to be and not break down on you. Okay. So it's not double standards. Please understand. It's not. It's just that you want something that you can. That's not been altered, maligned, or used and abused, because you take that into male or female. When you have a lot of wear and tear, you bring that into the relationship, and then you may not be the person that's for a commitment. Male or female. When you're a person that's been wandering for a while, you bring something to the table that's gonna make a person want to be with you. They give them a fresh start, So give yourself a chance. Don't try to just sell one aspect of yourself. It's the total package that makes a difference. I'm trying to keep it in a proper context. Bring something to the table that a person wants to have instead of just want to use. Okay. So you have to be careful about what you present to people because people look at you accordingly. Male or female, because if you're a person, even a guy that's been through a lot of stuff, he may not be as remarkable, he may not. So it's not double standard, but just be conscientious about what you promote when y'all here dating, because after all, you have a lifetime to live. Don't try to live it all up at once,
Live it all up at once. And some people speculate that maybe part of Vern, her issue is because she was such a young mother and a single mother of 3 girls, that maybe now that the children are almost grown, one is away at college, and maybe she's trying to live it up now, in her early 40s.
Okay.
I get it. I get it. I guess the thing is, though, like to your point, is I think about this guy that I was dating many years ago, and the thing I wonder about Vern, if this is not the case in Houston, Texas, where she lives, or anywhere, any major city in America, and I think it kind of would be, is that if your woman is going out, she's dressed a certain way, and the headlights are on, does she ever think about that? Let's say if she has a man, she's in a relationship now with this guy, this is her guy, and she's out with him, that if another man who may be like, who's the guy that had too many drinks? Danzy. We'll talk about him a little bit later. But the guy that's had maybe too many drinks sees her headlights flashing, maybe either goes to touch them or says something that he shouldn't be saying about them in front of her man. Now you got an issue, because now your man's got to defend your honor. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. Again, I tend to be more responsible, more conservative. I don't want my man to be put in a situation where he's got to defend my honor, because actually in this country these days, that could mean his life. He may go to say something. That's totally appropriate for what the gentleman said, or not gentleman, because he wouldn't be a gentleman, but that man says to me that's inappropriate. I'm never going to put him in that situation anyway. But let's say if I did, he may go to say something to correct him and tell him don't speak to his woman like that. Next thing you know, this guy's ready to unalive him. And now I got this on my conscience. My man is gone because of what I wore. I'm never going to put my man in that position.
Or you put yourself in compromised position.
Or myself. Exactly.
When you're by yourself. So that's what I'm saying. You have to be conscientious about how your image is important. Because reject something, whether it's there or not. Be conscientious. We all have to be conscientious about what we project. Because people are going to deal with us accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think there are a couple of things at play here. She's clearly very confident in her appearance, and fair play to her, right? She's also very blessed in certain areas physically. But I don't think she dresses for her assets to be the center of attention. I think, she doesn't come across as someone who's trying to put herself out there like that. But in saying all of that, I hear what you're saying about possibly being in compromising situations where you may have a guy who's inebriated, or you may be out with your partner and someone wolf whistles or gives your girl a double take, and that might create a problematic situation. So but I don't think she's thinking about that. I think she's just thinking about, what, she's going to look good for whatever particular the occasion is. And I don't necessarily think the guys are looking at her as just an object either. I don't think they're looking at her assets and thinking, yeah, you know what, I got to get her, man. No, I think they're actually trying to date her and find out about her personality. So I give credit to the guys so far. I think if Danzy was with her while liquored up, then yeah, because he already tried to touch Sharice, and that didn't go down too well, right? So he seems like the type that would try.
Yeah. You're up next, Sean. You ready?
Well, we as men, most of us, we are visual creatures of habit. However, with most of us, man, we'll feed off what you give us. Now, I always say it like this: don't put on a party dress if you ain't trying to party. You know, um,
All right, with the
and I
party.
think that's the thing is that even though even though she even though she has on accentuated her headlights, I think the idea, I wanted to ask the question, is she a woman of substance? Does she have something more to talk about other than what she has in the presentation of her pulchritudinous assets? Can she present more than that? Can she present her brain over her body? That's what I asked the question.
Yeah, and I get it. I'm reading all the several. You guys are going crazy in the chat. The chat is really lit up. I get it. Listen, I'm the last woman to be jealous of another woman. Trust and believe that. I worked with other models that were way more beautiful than I was. Never had a problem with them. We became friends, or we didn't. But I never was envious. I'm the first person to give another woman a compliment. I think that Vern's body is outstanding. I think she has the face of an angel. I really do. I think she has a very beautiful face. I think she's naturally pretty. But I'm just asking the question because I think it bears that we ask this question, and I think more importantly, it bears it for her because she's the one on this show dating and trying to figure it out. And I think it's not all of the issue. It's not all of what's going on in her life, but I do think it plays a part in the type of men that she attracts. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. It plays a part in the men you attract, and then you wonder why you're getting these overly sexualized men because you've attracted overly sexualized men, because a man that's more conservative, a man that is more responsible with his sexuality and is not overly sexualized and not trying to be with every woman out there, guess what? He's also going to look for his match. He's going to look for someone that he's equally yoked with. And will he be equally yoked with a woman that, as who was it that said the comment about the party dress? Was that you, Calvin?
No, that was Sean.
I'm sorry, Sean. Was that Sean? It was you that said you always wear the party dress and looking
Yes, it
like
was
you're
me. It
going
was
to
me.
a
Yes.
party. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just talking about being
Yeah.
equally yoked at this point. Like, you kind of, we all have a tendency to attract certain things. And then when we look at it, we go through the list of partners we've had and people we've dated that didn't work out. And you say, well, there's a common denominator. That common denominator is you.
It's you, yeah.
And that's
So,
why I said at the beginning, Vern showed me some contradictions because I wouldn't say it's down to how she dressed, no. But there's certain things that she says she wants, but I'm not sure she's going to be
didn't she say?
successful.
Well, tell me just real quick, and then we're going to move on. But tell me, Jr., what is it? She said she wanted to be what? Maybe a homemaker. She's
Yeah,
looking
she
for
did.
a guy.
But she's not willing to give that up, which is the whole Jabari issue. And it's not about giving it up. It's about tapering it or tailoring it in a way where it fits the relationship that you want. So no one's asking her to shut down her business completely and stay at home. No,
No.
like I think the issue was he finished his work at 5 o'clock, so he's looking for his lady to be home to greet him, and she's like, "Well, no, because I'm going to be working till 11 a lot and networking and social events and stuff." So, in terms of being equally yoked, in terms of what they're looking for, they're way off. But also, Vernicia did chastise someone for wanting to have too much fun and not being serious. So now she's got a problem with having fun, and that's part of the dating experience as well. If you can't go and have fun with your then you're going to want to get elsewhere. So that's going to create a whole another set of problems.
Oh wow. Okay, I missed that. I missed that. Who did she chastise, Jr.? What did I miss?
She chastised. Who was the second guy that she? Can't remember his name.
Was it Cantrell, the guy that was school?
Yeah, was it Cantrell or was it?
Not
remember.
Tabari. Was it? Tabari. Yes, it was Tabari.
Yeah, she said, he's all about having too much fun and, needing to be more serious. At this stage,
Yeah.
like you're just meeting, like you're supposed to be having fun, like it's supposed to be an enjoyable process, right? So
Right.
she wants
But
him to
then what
turn
did you
down,
project to
like,
convey that made him want to feel he can have
yeah, like it's too early to like now you want to be stern, but
fun?
why? You know, stern Vern, why?
Stern. I don't
Like
think nobody
you're,
has ever called Vern Stern,
Sternberg.
but that's funny.
but she's already. I say that because she's already telling this guy, look, you're not being serious enough. Look, you need to be serious when you're with me. Don't, why? Come on. Like it's still early in the process. You just let go of Jabari.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be trying to have fun to get to
Yeah.
know these guys, right?
That is true. That's a
You're gonna
very
have
good
these guys walking
contradiction.
on. They're gonna be walking on eggshells, thinking, "Wait, can I crack a joke? Or is she
Mm-hmm.
like, can I be myself, or does she want me?" It's too early to create all of that. Just
Mm-hmm.
go with the flow and stop overthinking it. If your
Overthink.
match is there,
Yes.
then you're gonna match.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes. You know what? You just made a very good point, and I think it's something that I see in all four of the women in some shape, form, or fashion in these 6 weeks, is that all of them at various points have been very rigid with their dates when as I'm watching it, and maybe it's editing, maybe we're missing something, maybe I'm missing something, but I was thinking like, why so rigid with a guy you just met? You don't really have anything invested in this guy. To your point, Jr., just go with the flow and let
Mm-hmm.
things kind of flow. Feel
Mm-hmm.
this guy out. But then on the other hand, now to be fair, I will say the point that they only get one date with the guy before they decide if he's a keeper or not, that's a little. I think I kind of understand that they're under a lot of stress when I think about that, because one date to me is not enough. Like in the real world, I'm not going out on one date with a guy and then at the end of the day I say, you know what, I think you're a keeper. That's not going to
Mm-hmm.
happen ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, because I don't really know enough about him. We haven't had a chance. We haven't gotten off the date, and I haven't gotten a chance to see, okay, after the date, does he even call me to follow up?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I do see that they're under a lot of pressure with this show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
But they're trying to
it's coming with the
project it.
premise that first impressions
Yeah.
last, right? So, what's your first impression, and
Mm-hmm.
is that first impression good enough for you to ride with to the next
Ah,
episode in the
okay.
Lemonade Album?
Good
Mm-hmm.
point. Good point. Thank you for that, JR.
Mm-hmm.
Calvin, you were going to say
I was
too?
gonna say it's only so much they can cover within the constraints of the show, but they try to present the challenges that go along with dating, both for the males and the females, and that when you come into the situation, you have to be open but fair to yourself, and maybe they have their guards up because they at the stage in their life where they've been challenged in dating scenarios, so maybe try to capture the essence of dating at this stage and do your best to kind of cover a lot within the constraints that you have. um it takes a lot to be dating, to be out here seeking companionship. So you do have to do it with a certain understanding of who you really are, instead of, unless it's for convenience, that's one thing. But we're talking about ongoing commitment with somebody, you have to really pay attention to them and pay attention to how they think, not just how they look, but how they think.
Right, right,
Mm-hmm,
right. That is so
mm-hmm,
true.
yeah,
That is
mm-hmm.
so true. Sean, any words on this before we move on to Zadia's date?
It's a broad question, but I wonder, can women, these women, I put it in the frame it in this context, can these women handle the multiplicity of dates within a short period of time? Because most women just can't change horses in the middle of the stream like that. So can
Mm.
these women really navigate that situation?
Yeah, you're right, and you're right. That does take a lot of. I think
Mm-hmm.
it takes a certain amount of mental processing as well as emotional processing, and
Mm-hmm.
that's actually a lot of work. Actually, you're
Uh-huh.
right. In a
Mm-hmm.
short period of time.
Mhm.
And
Mm-hmm.
to Jr's point, so these dates, I guess, is what he's saying, is the first impression is a lasting impression. So the women have to go with their gut, they have
Mhm.
to go with discernment. Ashley, we got to stop over talking to fellas and actually listen to what they're saying, hear what they're saying, feel what they're saying, and not overtalk them, because you already know your thoughts. So to me, on a date, especially a first date, the key is to try to get to know that person that you're on that date with. So you got to listen. You really have to listen. But anyway, so we move forward. Zadia goes on a very forgettable date, and I'm sorry, there was no way I could describe it, but it was
Yeah.
just forgettable.
Yeah.
I had to go back and rewatch it to figure out, like, Zadia actually went on a date. Okay, because that's how forgettable it was.
Yeah.
She goes out with a guy named Darius, who says he's never been on a blind date before. Darius is a respiratory therapist, he tells us, and he's also a
6 feet tall.
photog. Zadia says, "Oh wow, he's a dupe for my Cam." So now Zadia's got Cameron on the brain. She's tuning out every date she goes on. So no disrespect to you, Darius. This is totally on Zadia. She was not very respectful to you. She was very dismissive of you, and it made for a very sad date. Did anybody else see something different or the same, or any other things you picked up? Let's start with Sean.
No, I think the brother just didn't stand a chance. Number one, he was not 6 feet and over. Number
Yeah.
two, he didn't have the bank that supposed bank that what's his name, Cameron has. Number
Oh,
three, according to her words, he was a duplicate. He was a duplicate. So
right.
he just didn't stand a chance.
Not a one. But do you think that, all that said and done, do you think that Zadia could have been more, a little kinder to him, a little more respectful of him on that date?
She made it. She could have. She chose
Not
to.
her personality. Not her personality.
True, true. Okay, we'll
Not
skip
her
over. Thank you.
personality.
Yes, we'll skip over to Calvin. Calvin, what were you going to say?
Well, I mean, she dismissed him because she saw not green flags but red flags. He had the same vocation and but that's just it. You can't always judge a book by its cover. You know, when you take the time and not being biased or prejudiced against someone or relation, you have to let yourself be a part of the process instead of going in there like, okay, we just like the last one. But how do you know that? How do you know that? You may be similar but different at the same time. So she didn't give him a chance, and she wasn't ready to give him a chance.
No, she absolutely was not. I totally agree with you, Calvin. JR, what you munching on? But he at least did put his mute on, so I didn't have to hear him.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, just tucking into some cookies. But yeah. Listen, Zadia, I think she has dated Cameron for a little while. So any guy that she meets now
Yeah.
has to have something that Cam doesn't have. Either has to be more attractive or be more into her, or the combination of both. I don't think she was as attracted to this guy as she was with Cameron. He stood no chance. They do the same job in the same field, as you said. So she already has a guy that makes that type of money and has that life structure.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's not bringing anything different, and he's not as attractive. So she was very dismissive. I expected nothing less from Zadia because, like Sean said, that's her personality. But we'll get into a surprising element that happened with Charisse.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I don't think I don't think Zadia knows how to be nice sometimes, and
Yeah.
that's her problem.
Yeah.
You know, as attractive as some people may think she is, she also has a very um, dismissive and mean streak about her as well. So I pity the fool who's on the receiving end of her dismissal.
Yeah, that's true. I think
Well,
there is. Go ahead.
Now I see what's her name, Dr. Larika Yancey's comment talking the rigidness may come from not wasting their time. I don't know. I think I get the feeling I don't know her, Zadia. I think get the feeling borderline narcissistic vibes. She has the inability to feel somebody else's
Pain
pain.
or yeah.
You know, uh, I don't know what that date was like. I'm sure the brother was like, "Ooh, thank God this is my first time being on a blind date. And I don't want to do it again." That's why I get the feeling that he
That's
probably
Yeah.
felt
he's probably scarred.
like,
He's probably scarred from that now.
because I felt sorry for the brother. You know,
Because you
yeah,
have to
and it's
realize,
probably it's just like the old saying, "Go where you celebrate, not where you tolerate it." You know, so hey,
yeah.
you know,
But you have to realize it's embarrassing to get shut down like that. In front of cameras as well. So, and
Yeah.
even if cameras weren't there, if someone is that abrasive and dismissive,
Right.
as a
That's
guy, it can be something that we might be like, wow, she was horrible. Like, you know,
I
but
don't know if
Mhm.
when I see that it makes me think about how were you raised? How have you treated people most of your life? Like it maybe it's me. I think I kind of tend to minus the headlights and the body yada yada, which I'm not saying I have or ever had, like Vernisha. But I think when I look at these four women, the style of dating that I most the style of dating that I most relate to is Vernisha because you know what? We have not seen Vernisha ever go on a date with anyone. I don't care if he was short, if he was bald, if he had a messed up afro, dreads that aren't quite dreading, or locks that aren't quite locking like Cameron. But we've never seen Vernisha mistreat anyone. She has a smile. She has a happy go lucky attitude for the most part, and I think like for me when I was dating, my attitude toward dating was I'm gonna have fun regardless. Now, other than you disrespecting me, which will be an instantaneous, it's time for me to go home. I mean, like really, really disrespecting me. But other than that, I'm gonna have a good time. I may be able to look at you and say, well, you know what? He don't look like my type inside my head. Um, or maybe after the conversation gets rolling, he's not a good conversationalist. I'm not feeling it, but I'm going to try and smile and grin, ask you questions, try to get to know you, because to me that's the commitment I made by going accepting the date from you. You wanted to go on the date with me. I agreed, not because I don't have any food in my refrigerator and I can't cook for myself or even take myself out to the cheesecake factory or whatever. I accepted a date with you. So that was a small, little, tiny commitment that I'm going to go out and try to spend a couple of hours or more to get to know you, to see if we're compatible, to see if I like you, to see if you like me. And to me that's part of like why I say I don't know like how you grew up, but it's not a good look for your family. It's not a good look for you that you're constantly dismissive. And to your point, JR, on national TV, on these in front of these TV cameras, I don't think you have to be that way. You don't Are you going to love every guy you go out with? No, you're not. But
no,
you don't have to make them feel bad like, "Oh, what you do, your job is not important to me. You don't earn enough money. You're not a high income earner." Uh, You don't have to do that to all of these guys.
exactly. Because remember, the process is you're vetting, you're dating, and there's only going to be one guy that you end up with potentially. And sometimes, if you're too abrasive or too dismissive, you may burn that bridge completely when you have to roll back. If you don't find anyone else going forward, you may have just eliminated someone in a horrible way that you could have potentially worked with had you approached it differently. Like we've seen with Ashley and Donald. Now he's back in the picture after being dismissed.
Right. We're gonna get to that too. Yeah, like yeah, you dismissed this guy for Mr. Tall Basketball Man, and
Well,
looks like you're gonna have to circle the block back to him the way things
Mhm.
are looking. So so anyway, so we move on to Sharice meets Danzy. who on first glance, and this is why first glance, like you said, first impressions can be lasting impressions, but they're not always 100%. So Sharice meets Danzy, who is in the pharmaceutical business, and he lets her know that he sounds like he's very successful. So we know that Sharice loves that. He seems cultured. He does all the things that a gentleman will do on a first date. He holds her seat. He compliments her. He's into her. He's also a world traveler. We know how important that is to Sharice, that a man like to travel, because he talks about Greece just like she talks about Greece. He even knows the city in Greece that she wants to go to. And guys, what did you think about? What did you make of this day? We'll start with you, Calvin.
Well, if you're ready for love, and that's your goal, to fall in love, you should do so with an open mind across the board. So, and then you need to know what love is and love is not. It's not always about the beauty. It's not always about the finance. It's not always about the romance. It's about substantive issues, So just be in tune with yourself. So saying all that to say, he does have the traits that she likes. But when you get together, spend time with a person beyond this moment, that's when you see about do you really mesh, So again, the most important thing is knowing who you are, as a person, and what your challenges have been in the dating scenario, and what your assets as well as what your liabilities are, Because you get with a person, it goes well beyond the first date. The first impression is one thing, but what is it about them that you really look and see and feel about them, So just because they've been to Greece or can talk the language and know the city to go to, how you deal with them up close and personal is the key. That's always the key. Beyond the moment, what is it that you have to offer one another, after you've been to Greece, okay? That's to look at the personality and the mindset is always important, because that's what makes it sustainable,
So true. Sean, any thoughts on Sharice and her culture date, Danzy?
He checked all the boxes off for her upon first impression. And if there ever was a such thing as don't judge a book by the cover, that would be it. Because he came off polished. I was like, this brother looks pretty good. But we see later on, what have you. But I don't know. I think all the women, to a degree, have this superficiality about themselves on the show. I think they do. Without being too judgmental, I think they have this superficiality about themselves.
Yeah, I think the box ticking thing, I think sometimes we as women can go overboard with this box ticking thing, because at some point in time, I think you may figure out that is the man that you find that loves you and that you love, and that actually makes sense for your life too, all of those things. He may not tick off all of the boxes. He probably may tick off 75-80% of the boxes, but there's going to be some what's the word I'm looking for, like there's some intangibles that you can't even put down on paper that he will have and that you will have together, that there's no box that can be ticked off, but
That's
you
right.
find it to be like, so it's almost like it's supernatural. It's a supernatural love. It's a supernatural concern. It's genuine. He's genuine. It's real, that you never had with anybody else. And that's how you're going to know.
That's the point.
That's the point. Calvin,
It's the other things. Those things are, like you said, the things that you see, but the things that make you, because see, it could be something about them that's not in the box, like you said. It can be something about if you have a challenge within yourself, and they're there to be a part of you going beyond that challenge. You may have challenges with your health. You may have
Yes.
challenges with your job. You may challenge in any character, any area of your life that tests your faith, your conviction, and as you said, the intangible aspect of you being. That's what makes it stand. Because you can have all that, but then it may be something else that you need that you can't get from that person. You may have all the things that's in the box, but it's the things that blindside you that person is there for you to help you become the person you need to become. That's the
That's
key.
it.
Key.
Yeah, I think it's gonna come with the format of the show. Like there is a sense of, listen, they're looking for Mr. Perfect, so he has to tick every box. Um, and again, that goes into the discussion we see about settling and having standards and all the rest of it. And if you're looking for a certain type or certain qualities, then you have to stand on that because you've made it so vocal about what you're not going to be happy with, who you're not going to date. Oh, I don't like your job, or I don't like this. You've been so vocal with that. So what you do like, you have to stand on it. So that's why I think in Sharice's case, okay, she didn't like the fact that what's his face? What's the guy? He wasn't opening up to her as much. He wasn't talkative.
Oh, Maurice. Maurice.
Yeah, Maurice, right? But I think,
Mute
yeah,
Maurice.
I think someone like Danzy, who's the complete opposite. It seems like once he gets some drink, man, he's handsy.
Yeah.
He's more talkative. He's the complete opposite. Now, she's turned off by that. So now she wants
Hmm.
someone more conservative. When so again, there's that. Like, what is it you really want? You can't have it all. Like, there's no one that's gonna match exactly what you're looking for. So it's about how you acquiesce to the guys that are presented there. Like, is there a guy that's as close to what you're looking for, and then maybe you can work around a few things, and that comes
Right.
with being flexible and adaptable and not rigid, right? So,
Yes, yes. And I will add to what JR said, which is excellent points. Thank you for that, JR. I will add to that, and also recognizing within yourself that
Yeah.
you're not perfect. You probably aren't everything that
exactly.
he's looking
That's
for.
right. That's right.
Exactly. And that's the thing that they're not thinking about, like, because most guys don't have this set list where we're like, okay, a girl has to match this, otherwise, you know, we're much more malleable. We approach it differently. And I think with age comes more likelihood that you're going to be set in your ways. And if you're set
Yeah,
in your
that's
ways,
true.
it's hard to unlearn
Mhm.
certain programming that you've been accustomed to.
What's
Mm,
interesting about relationship that you have to look at is not so much what's on the shelf. It's once you bring it home and take it out the box, and then see how it functions in a different environment, up close and personal, not just on a day, a week, a month, just so extended period of time, and to see how they deal with life and life experiences and how they deal with the things that challenge you, the things that you have to adapt to when you're in close proximity in each other's space, how you deal with day to day life and life situations, how you deal with the total person, their total day every day. That's the kind of stuff that you get blindsided with. Yes, they can have all of this on the shelf. When you come and take it out the box and see how it works, and that's when you see what you got. So can you grow into that role? That's the thing. Can you grow into the person that you both need to grow into? You have all these presumptions about what you want, but when you come to dealing with a person up close and personal, you know, and in the day-to-day grind, that's what you're looking more so than that. Not just the glitter, but the substance. And that
Mm.
comes out over time. After the 90 days, so to speak, after 6 months
after,
or after a
Right.
year, when been through a lot of
yeah.
things, and you see, well, we made it, baby. Instead of saying, well, instead of saying, well, mama said you wasn't the one, and daddy said you wasn't the one, okay? So, come on now. we have to think about a lot of things that we don't think about till we get up close and personal with a person, you know. And then when you get into a bind, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to grow into a greater role? Or are you going to just say irreconcilable differences, which is convenient, which is true, but it's also convenient too, you know.
Calvin, you said a mouthful earlier. I got to go back. Something that stuck out of my mind that you said a little while ago. You said that how a person treats you when you become ill. And I think about, yes, between when someone becomes seriously ill. I'm not talking about a cough or a little bug that's going to go away in a week or two. I'm talking about when you become ill and maybe the doctors don't even know what's wrong with you. And now they've got to see about you. They got to take care of you. Also, another thing that comes to mind is under extreme financial
That's
circumstances.
right.
Let's say you lose your job
Right.
tomorrow.
That's right.
The economy is lagging as it often does in and out of good times and bad times with the economy, and you've lost your job. Now, where does this person
That's
stand?
right. That's right. That's those are the
Ping,
things that.
gone out. That's where
Say,
they're staying. They're gone.
say,
Situation change. A lot
oh,
of
they're
them are.
gone.
Yeah, listen. A lot of the modern things we see about dating and stuff. Listen, those vows for better or for worse, for richer for poorer, that doesn't apply anymore. You know.
But
First,
the thing about it is that when you honor it,
yeah,
when the
when you
smoke
honor
and the
it, that's
dust
when you
settle,
build
you
the
feel
greatest
sustainable.
relationships, right?
You become a better person, you know. But when you
Exactly.
thin out, when you get thick, because that can happen so easily. You get
Mm,
blindsided with anything that can change the whole dynamics relationship. And if you thin out, then you know that's what can happen. It's not always about you or her. It's about this relationship that we agreed to endure. You know, whether it's on paper or not. Well, the most important thing is commitment that you have, not just being married. Most of all, when you just with a person that you want to work it out, whether you're married or not. If you're committed to
Hmm.
that person, then you're committed to the growth.
exactly. And life is full of ups and downs.
Yes,
And
it is.
like Calvin said, like when you're on those down times, how is that person treating you? Are they going to lose respect for you?
That's
Are
right.
they going to demoralize you even
Yeah,
further?
they
Or are
got
they
to.
going to
Yes.
support you while you build yourself back up to enjoy
That's
more
right.
good times? Um, and I think what's evident for me through watching this show is even though there's a lot of dates, I think there's a genuine lack of, or I think people have forgotten the art of how to establish a connection. I think
Really?
you can go on dates, you can have fun for 45 minutes,
Hmm.
shoot the breeze, send someone home, and all the rest of it. But in terms of building connection, because sometimes the connection you build with someone is so strong and natural that if you go with it, it can lead to great things. And if there's always an apprehension or a wall, or I'm not going to do this, and he did this, so he's out. Then if there's too much of that, then you could ruin the potential for a connection to be built.
And that's a great point because you don't know what you have in a person until you take time out to really get to know them, not
Exactly.
just physically, but I mean emotionally. So you know, or intangible. When you get to know a person up close and personal, that's what you have to focus on, not just that person that's on the shelf. But when you get to know them for weeks or months, you know, and willing to grow and not be so quick to dismiss them or be mesmerized by them, it makes a difference, you know.
Hmm.
Mm. I want to. Something is standing out of my mind. You guys are deep, man. I got some deep fellas over here. I'm loving this. I'm loving this season's panelists. Man, oh man, oh man. I tell you what, God is good. But I want to go back to something that JR you were saying, and I wanted you to just kind of just elaborate just briefly because we got a lot of stuff to get through still. But could you tell us a little bit more about when you said about bonding and these dates and about how people actually connect? Could you talk a little bit more about what your thought process is about how can people better connect and
Yeah.
bond?
All right. So I think if you go in with prerequisites, in a mindset of prejudging, or just being too rigid in what you're looking for and what you're expecting, then chances are you're not going to give the person a fair shot, a fair chance while they have that time with you, because you've already got things preloaded in your mind as to how you want them to speak to you, what you want them to say, what answers you're looking for, how
Hmm.
they're going to be dressed, how groomed they have to be. Like there's all these different things that you have already decided upon before you've given that person a fair shake, right?
Right.
So um, I think what we've seen from maybe I want to say two cast members already, Sharice and Zadia, is that they are ready to gun you down if you don't meet certain standards. I think Benicio does it, like you said, in a more caring way. If she's not feeling you, she's gonna let you know. But she already has programmed in her mind what she's looking for.
Okay.
Now that's why I say again, there's a contradiction because is what you're looking for actually what you're ready for, right?
Ooh.
So um, if
That
you're
part.
coming in with these if you're coming in with already a vision of what you're looking for, that's cool. Everybody does that to an extent. But
Right.
when you're not appreciating the person in front of you and what they may bring, their strengths, the good qualities that they may have, are you really going to give them a fair shot at dating you? If and that's what the game's about. If you're potentially looking to move to this area for the guy that you end up being with, you better make sure you have a very strong and good connection with them, sense of humor, life goals. Where do you see yourselves going forward as a couple? What type of relationships have they come from prior?
That's
Like
right.
there's so many different things.
Mhm.
And like I said, if you're already okay, well, you know what, kids, no. If he's got kids, no. If he's hasn't traveled before, no. If he hasn't done this, listen, traveling could be something that you bond over. He hasn't been there before, but maybe because you have, you could show him what you enjoyed about it, and that could create a bonding experience and memories that you can share going forward. But if you're not thinking like that and you're just going to dismiss someone because they haven't been to Greece or Cyprus or wherever it is you're thinking of, then you're not really being fair to the person.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. That. Thank you for that. That really does add a lot of con- texture and a lot of excellent points because I think that you said it when you said it, it just really stuck out in my mind. Like, let's go a little bit deeper with that. So thank you, Jr. for doing that. Sean, do you want to say your piece on this?
Well, I think the biggest thing with me is to piggyback on what JR was saying that you know why do you want to travel? Is it that you want to travel as a flex, or because you have
Mm.
literally traveled before and you just like to travel? Because I mean, or you just spin the globe and say, okay, Greece or England or Ghana or Nigeria, wherever, you know. So is that just because you just want to go to those places because you heard about them or because you've been there before, what have you, or you think I have the pockets to take you there? Um, I get the feeling that Sharice is looking for a man with means more than the physical appearance per se, the more economic means to be able to take her on these trips so that she can call it a flex if she says she's been there to Greece or been to Italy or been to wherever than anything else. Um, and to back to a couple of conversations ago, I think a lot of people are not willing to nobody likes being in the valley. A lot of people like being on the mountaintop, where have you. But what happens when we're in the valley, moving up the mountaintop, and when we get to the mountain, we want to stop there and stay there, what have you. And my mind goes back to the old soul. It's an old R&B song by one of my favorite groups, Tower of Power. It says, "Just when we start making it, don't be no fool." So the idea is that a lot of people, when we start making it, people started losing it, what have you, and then get beside themselves per se. And I think that's the misconception of their mind per se,
Mhm.
that they're looking at men as a come up. Some of these men as a come up per se, then that's not a companion, a come up versus a companion.
Hmm. Someone in the chat, High Vibe, says that maybe Sharice just wants to flex. There's nothing cultured about her. She can't even hold a conversation.
Yeah.
My lips are zipped. High Vibe, my lips are zipped. I'm
Very
not
true.
saying nothing. I'm not saying a word because maybe Sharice might grace our stage with an interview. We'll find out then if she can hold a conversation or not. But
Mhm.
yeah, you ain't far from wrong. But but um but anyway, let's move forward. Thank you guys for that. Ashley tells us in the next scene that she lets us know that she is still talking to Donald behind the scenes, and he is trying so hard to get back in with her. To Jr's point, be careful how you treat a guy or a gal, because you may have to circle the block and come that way again. You never know. Um,
Come back around.
so we see her. She meets up on her blind date with Kenneth. He is a high school principal, and upon talking and getting to know him, he seems nice until she asks him the question when it was his last serious relationship, and he informs us and her that it's been a whole decade since he's had a relationship. So, any one of you guys want to venture first? What Kenneth has been doing in those 10 years? Because I want to know. I want to know.
Well, that's just it. That's just
Calvin.
it. Let's be fair. When you're dealing with a person, you're dealing with the total person, the person that they, not just with you right there at that moment, but the person they have been throughout their whole lifespan. So he hasn't had a commitment for 10 years. That says a lot, whether he's been celibate or been out there having a ball. Um, you have to deal with a person for who they are and who they are not. It goes back to that, because the thing about it is that what have you been doing as well for in your dating history? So if you're gonna go toe to toe about what you've done, the numbers and all that, you both may be disappointed. So when you're dating a person, you have to know what you want out of that person. They just been single for 10 years, and that can translate into a lot, good, bad, or ugly. So that may not be the person for you, or may be the person for you, because you don't know what their experience have been, and what have you been doing yourself for the past in your dating history. That's the problem with not being, when you're out here, you've been not in a long-term commitment. What have you been done with you? What have you done with your life? What kind of experiences have you had? Because you both have to be fair to one another. You both have a history.
Right.
And you
You're
deal
right.
with that, male or female. You
Especially
deal with a
especially
person
at these ages. Yeah.
at this age. Yes, you've both had extensive history. Or not, if you haven't, then what's wrong? There's something wrong with that. What have you done with yourself for 30 something years, and you've never been in a long term relationship, or have you been married, and do you have children or not? A lot of things come into play. You have to be able to deal with a person where they are when you meet them, because that may be the best person for you, or the worst, vice versa. But be open to, you ready for love. Be ready for love. You ready for love.
Hmm. Yeah, because it's interesting. This is Ashley. So the last guy she had last week, if I'm not mistaken, was a guy who had just gotten out of his 3.5 year relationship 3 months ago. And she was
Yeah.
concerned about being the what does she call it? The rebound.
Everybody.
She doesn't want to be a rebound ever again. And I think
Rebound.
that kind of I feel like that maybe relates to that old Alex, that Alex fella. Oh Lord. But so I think that maybe relates to him. But now in this case, this guy hasn't had a serious relationship in 10 years. I will say that as I'm looking at his age, this week, I think he's like about 35, 36. He's already a high school principal. That's a very high position for a 35-year-old.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that maybe what he was busy doing was going to college, getting his graduate degree, getting his certification, passing whatever test. I think he was really probably focused on getting to
Uh,
where he wanted to be financially and career wise. Would I be wrong? Sean, you're laughing at me or laughing with me. I'm not sure. Would I be wrong in making that assumption at 35? Because most 35-year-olds aren't principals of high schools.
but he still had a life.
He
Well,
had
all
a
it takes
life.
sometimes
I'm
He
sure
still
he
had a
was
in
life.
some
probably
Still
places
a
is
life for
steady.
3
10 years.
years.
He had a life
Yeah,
for 10
3
years.
years of
It's all in the books. Okay.
yeah,
yeah.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was. Maybe it was. Maybe it was
Right,
career
right,
driven.
right.
Okay.
yeah,
Sean, what is your
yeah,
take on the 35-year-old high school principal?
yeah. I mean, some places all it takes is 3 years of classroom, and then move into administration. So he could have been working on his master's degree the same time he was working on in the classroom. So hey, 25 is think about 18 to maybe 23, 24 undergrad, and then another 2.5, 3 years maybe for graduate school. Yeah, I can see that for
Yeah,
a master's degree.
I'm
I can see
thinking.
that.
I'm just thinking. With
That's probably
college
what he was doing.
costs. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm
Hmm.
going with it. I don't make any assumptions. I probably would be a little concerned that he had no serious relationship, but then again, I guess sometimes I look at it that in my mind and my understanding of men and the men that I know, the good ones, the ones that actually have integrity, I will say, and have the ability to think consciously, they will, if they're focused on a goal, let's say, okay, they think to themselves, I want to eventually be a husband and a father, but I want to be at a good place in my career so that I'll be ready to buy a home. I'll be ready to support a wife if she has to take off work while she's pregnant with our child. All of these things they're thinking. And so what they'll do is they'll put themselves in a mindset for the next 10 years, for the next 5 years, I'm going to focus on my career. I may date, I may go out, but I
Yeah.
don't want to have any serious relationship because that will
Mm-hmm.
take my attention off
Yeah.
of where I'm
Mm-hmm.
going in life.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
so the thing that we as women have to be aware of
Mm-hmm.
is while we're expecting this man to tick off all these boxes, once again, there's some things that don't go hand in hand.
That's right.
The
Mm-hmm.
guy that's going to be the successful career guy, and maybe he's still in his mid 30s, late 30s, you may find that he didn't have a lot of serious relationships, but now he's ready to because now he's at the position that he
Right.
wanted to be at.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. That's where the communication
Hmm.
and develop relationship and communicating with a person or getting to know them beyond the appearance, like Ryan said, is the key. Being patient, and getting to know them. Um, in a break, just having a conversation, interaction, and spending time with one another is important. Dating, as they call it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I
Uh,
think we have to kind of be careful with this one because some of the ladies don't have children either
That's
and
right.
have focused on their careers as well. So that whatever they've been doing for the last 10 years, I
Yeah,
don't think we'd be questioning that.
that's right.
Like a lot of the time, you're working, you're living, yeah, you're having relationships that may not last or situationships or whatever you want to call it. But you know, if you do get married and have kids and break up in that 10-year period and now you're on the dating show, I'm sure there's someone that will have something to say about that.
Mm,
If you haven't got kids yet
that's
and
right.
you're single and you've been building your career, then there's someone that has something to say about that too.
Hmm.
So there's no win. It's
Yeah.
just find someone that matches what you're looking for
Hmm.
and is more aligned with how you've lived your life as well. Charisse has
Hmm.
made it quite clear she has a problem with guys having baggage, kids from a previous relationship. So she's looking for a guy who's more or less her same age group that doesn't have kids.
Hmm.
You know, is she gonna sit down there and go, "Well, what have you been doing for the last 10 years?"
Hmm.
The same thing you have, working.
That's right. Yeah. I had
right.
a life for 10 years, and so did you.
Hmm.
Let's
Exactly.
start over right here, right now. Okay. Let's
Hmm.
give each other a chance.
Mm.
Hmm.
Right, right, right. So that's, I guess that's it. Is there anything else anyone wants to add to the whole situation? 10 years never committed. I think it was interesting what KDM has to say. She says he said he was in. You're right. He did say that. He said he had been in some situationships.
Yeah.
She says that personally that's a red flag because one, he might not have considered those real relationships, but the women who were in them might have. I think that's always a good point, right? What does your man call the thing that you're doing? Is it dating, quote unquote? Is it a relationship? Or are we simply hooking up? Okay. Two, why couldn't he commit in 10 years?
Yeah.
That's a good point,
Good point.
Katie. I think I
Again, you
kind of
can,
laid out the case for what I thought. I'm sorry, go ahead,
yeah,
JR.
you can kind of say that to all of the ladies on the show. Like
Mhm.
at some stage, they weren't in relationships. So what were they doing when they were outside of those relationships? Were they situationships? Were they placeholders? Were they just booty calls? What were
Mhm.
they doing? So
Ooh,
again,
not the friends
like
with benefit.
yeah, it can go both ways. Like if we're gonna, you can't
FWB.
just say exactly. You can't just go, yeah. You know what? These guys, they may have been lying to these women and telling them that they weren't in relationships, but really they were knocking the boots. And da-da-da. If you have that mindset, then we can reverse it too.
Mhm.
Some of these girls may have been leading these guys on to get whatever they wanted to get from them, but not commit to a relationship as well.
Because just because you haven't had kids doesn't mean you haven't had relationship.
Intercourse
So
and relationships.
be fair to yourself. What questions are you don't probe? I mean, you have to be fair. If you're looking for love, you have to be able to start right here, right now. We both seasoned individuals. You're 30, 37, almost 40. We've had a life. Okay, we got that. We put that on the back burner. What are we going to build on with one another now? What are we going to do for each other now? Give each other a chance.
Right, right, right.
Well, here's something. Here's something.
Okay.
Here's something. Okay. Life happens to all of us. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Uh, to ask the question, we don't know. We don't know the backstory of what happened to him in those 10 years. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he said he had situationships on the same shoe on a different foot. You can look at quote unquote Vernicia. She's got three children and she's 42 years old. Her oldest one is 21, her next one is 18, and her baby child is 15. She had a child at
Right.
21, 24, and 27. So
Mm,
within 10 years, she had three children. Within 10 years, he had situationships. So, I mean,
Apples and oranges, the same
depends on how
thing.
you dice it, how you slice it. Life happens to all of us. It's the same thing.
Mhm.
He said he didn't have any children. That's the difference. But the idea is that he just had situationships. She had three children within 10 years. I know he didn't go on a date with Venetia, but the idea is the same concept. Life happens within 10 years
Mm,
span.
exactly. Who else has kids though? Zadia doesn't.
mm.
Ashley
That's
doesn't,
true.
and Noah
Nobody
does.
else has issues.
No
Exactly.
one
So what
else.
have they been doing? That's what I'm saying. Like they've been dating and it hasn't worked out for them, and they found themselves on the show.
Mhm. So
Right.
what are you gonna do now at 30 something years old? And I'm saying that for a reason. You see the individual, so your perspective, you should be. And you say you're ready for love. Are you really ready for love? Are you just
Change.
trying to kind of? Are you ready for love or not? Yes. If you are, then pursue it according. Don't be trying to psychoanalyze everything or break it down or
Yeah,
have a
we didn't
person. Yeah. Be open to love. Be open to love. Be fair.
Exactly. And
speak. Go
love
ahead,
is
JR.
appreciating
Yeah.
the person that you've got that connection with
That's right. Mm-hmm.
for their flaws and their strengths and their weaknesses. You see them as a person that is matched to you to the point where they bring out feelings in you that you don't have for anybody else.
That's right. And
So
Ooh.
a
that's
seasoned
what I
individual,
think people are forgetting here.
a person that sees may bring something to the table, they can really take you to the next level because they understand the good, the bad, and the ugly in relationships. So they understand that it takes something special to have a relation with somebody. It takes a part of you that you're willing to give if you're ready for love.
Right, right. Thank you for that. We're gonna move on past the guy with no relationship for 10 years, a whole decade, because that
Mhm.
I think that is bringing up a lot of I think it's kind of triggering a few people in the chat, as well as the travel issue, whether travel is a flex or not. Um, I think we're just kind of all giving our opinion. I don't see my panel as being particularly saying that travel is a flex. I think maybe I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on. That's what I'm gonna do. Vern. Vern meets up with a very shy and a little awkward, slightly awkward Contrail, who says he's a native Nolo man and he's a high school counselor. Vern, as usual, like I said, because she tends to date and she always has a smile. She's pleasant. She's polite. She's not rude. She makes him feel comfortable, but you can see that he's still struggling. He seems shy. The thing that I noticed as a viewer is that he wasn't making good eye contact with Vern, and I don't understand, because she's got a beautiful face, beautiful eyes. I don't understand why a guy sitting across the table from you, looking at you, but then looking sideways over to the window. Like,
The headlights. The headlights.
Is the intent?
oh, wait a minute! Now, I never considered that, because I've gotten so used to the headlights. And I'm a woman, so it doesn't really do anything. It does.
Headlights
Sean
were
is
on full beam.
tickled. Sean is totally tickled. Headlights don't do anything for me like they might do for a guy. So, but you know what? I didn't think of that. JR, that's an excellent point.
Headlights were on full beam.
Yeah.
So
You
they
want
want to get blind. They want to
look
get
it up.
Oh, and out of respect, he didn't want to stare at the head. Okay, I think I'm following. You're saying, are you? Am I reading you right? You're saying that he didn't want to just stare at her headlights.
Yeah. They want to get caught like a
Okay.
deer in the headlights.
But he's a deer in the,
Like
in the
a deer in
headlights,
the
okay?
headlights. Oh my
But she's
word.
playing her assets, okay? That's what I was saying.
Ah.
And then it works for her, but then you know what? As long as she has balance, though, she has balance. She has balance. So
She
it works.
definitely has balance, but that's an
Okay.
excellent point. I never considered that. I don't know why I overlooked that, because like I said, I'm so accustomed to her headlights, and for me, because I ain't into women like that, headlights don't do nothing for me. That just don't do anything for me at all. I don't get excited, but I can see where a guy would.
Because he's in danger of staring too hard and objectifying her at that point. So
yeah. Right, absolutely. You brought up a very excellent point.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, any other thoughts about our shy brother? Anything else about him that you guys picked up on?
wasn't going to work. The lifestyle he has, being a supplement teacher, school teacher, whatever that is, that's completely contrary to how Vern's life is set up. Does. So it's going to be a very similar situation to her and Jabari if she were to progress with him. Lifestyle wise, they're not going to match.
Okay. Yeah, because he's got that 9 to 5. He's the high school counselor. He's not an entrepreneur. He won't understand. And if he's already fearful of those headlights in front of him, well, yeah, there's no hope for that. What do you think, Sean, real quick, and then we're going to move forward?
Yeah, I mean, like I agree with, like Monique King said, it's either the highlights or the low beams. Hey, you want to talk up, keep your eyes up, and you don't want to get caught, talking down and get distracted in the middle of the conversation. So I think he probably did that to keep from objectifying her, as JR said. I agree.
Yeah, that was an excellent catch, JR. You were right on him with that. I that makes sense. That makes sense. Monique King is in the chat saying, yeah, he didn't want to make eye contact with those high beams. Oh Lord. Hey there, Boss Life Online.
It might be LED lights.
Oh yeah, they might be those real strong Blu-rays or whatever. I don't know.
LED lights.
Oh, wait a minute, Kirby. No, you didn't. I'm gonna get off your comment. You getting as bad as Wes from Stay Tuned Reviews. Okay, I don't know if he's had experience with headlights or not. I haven't. I don't know. And Kimberly's just tickled by the whole thing. So we'll move forward. We'll move forward from that. Let's see here. One last thing. So Cantrell does ask her, Vern, about what are her green flags, and she tries to correct him, and she says, "Do you mean red flags?" And he says, "No, actually, I want to talk about what are the
Green
things
flag.
that you do need in a man." She
Mhm.
points out that she thinks a man is very honorable when he is a good father. He's a loving to children, and like her, she uses her stepfather as an example because her stepfather and mother apparently have been married over 30 years, which her and Cantrell connect on because his mom and dad have been married for over 30 years also. So I thought, okay, so both of them have had the opportunity in their lifetime to see a loving marriage up close and personal. I think that was a very good thing. Any
And they
thoughts
both
on
said they
that?
wanted to get married. They both
And
said they wanted to
yes,
get married.
they both did. They both did. The young man, Cantrell, said that his mother is almost practically begging him,
That's right.
and
She said
Vern
the same.
admitted. Yeah, Vern said the same. Her family wants her to get married. They don't want her to be alone,
Yeah.
to grow old and be alone. So that was a connecting point. So that was good. We move forward. The ladies are all dialed up, and now we're ready for the Zadia rooftop birthday party. They look good. They got to move something, freakum dresses on. Everybody's looking good. They're headed to the party. Tabari, and that's Tabari with the T, not Jabari, who is Vern's date, one of her dates. He comes in first, and he's looking good. Then we see Rizal, who's there for Charisse. Cantrell, we just talked about him, who's also Vern's number, her other dates. I won't say number two. But what we don't see is where is Cameron for Zadia, the birthday
That's right.
girl?
He didn't show up.
He
He
showed
hasn't
up. He
shown
just
up.
wasn't on camera.
He
Listen, he
wasn't
didn't
on
stand up.
camera.
That's
Okay,
that's that's
so what are
production.
you saying? What
Yeah,
what
he
are you
probably
trying to
don't
say? Is
camera.
this
Yeah.
production? Is this
Yeah,
production
production wanted
value?
to create some intrigue in the
Yep.
storyline, and
Okay.
yeah, like he was there. He just wasn't
That's it.
allowed to join in the party, so they could make it seem like he stood her up and create some intrigue, and
That's
then
it.
make everybody be like, "Oh my gosh, Cameron, you dog, you stood her up." Like have some narrative on him because he seems like quite a clean, um, well-spoken dude. I think he would have communicated if he had to work that time, and probably would have even offered to make it up to her if he couldn't make it. That's the kind of vibes I get from him. I'll be very surprised if he just ghosted her.
Yeah.
Very surprised. Their
Yeah,
connection is too strong so far. You know.
yeah. I tend to agree with you. Sean, what are your thoughts on the situation? Where is Cam?
Get held up by production inside the house.
Okay.
Get held
Yes,
up by
because it
production.
wasn't a
He was there.
rooftop, so they stopped him. They stopped him on the mezzanine floor.
Yeah. They
Yeah,
stopped. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
They said you come back. You come back next week. You come back. You come in next week.
Right, because we know all of these kind of end on cliffhangers, right?
Yeah.
If you notice that, if you've been paying attention, you'll notice that they all
Uh-huh.
kind of end on cliffhangers. And what is really going on here? Where is Cameron? Zadia. So somebody
But
finally
my
asked
question
her. I
is
don't
this.
recall who. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I apologize. Go ahead.
Zadia's asked where's Cameron, and Zadia explains that he had to work. And then she makes the comment, and this is kind of how you know. If you really want to know how JR and I, two old heads at this game, how we know that it's production, because Zadia basically reads off a script for us. She says he had to work, and then she goes, "Oh, and you know what? He works too much for me. I wonder if this will work." Like they're trying to create a narrative. It's way too obvious. It's way too obvious. Okay.
And as disrespectful as Zadia can get, and as hostile as she can get, she would have reacted a lot worse if it was a genuine ghosting. In my opinion.
Yes. Exactly. And in my opinion, also,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what he said that if she actually thought she was ghosted, hey, look, this is Zadia that mushes grown men in their forehead. This is that Zadia, okay? And she hasn't changed that much from her season a couple of seasons ago.
And
If
she's
she must
also the guy that dismissed the brother earlier on. So
on the same episode, right? So
exactly.
we
So
already
we
see
know
where
she's
her
got that energy.
attitude is. That's right. That's right. Um, so she tells us that, and it's up to you whether or not, as a viewer, whether you want to believe it or not. Um, but I have a question for you guys, because this is what comes to my mind as she's saying that if I'm to believe her that he works too much and maybe he works too much for her, to JR's point, there's so many contradictions with these ladies. So how do the women expect to have a man that's wealthy enough to give them this lifestyle that they seem to crave and have already created or want to create for themselves, and yet the man is still available for them 24/7? Can anybody explain that to me?
I can. It doesn't make
No way
sense
possible.
because Zadia has spoken about
Yeah.
not necessarily wanting the soft life, but let's be fair. Like
Mm-hmm.
all of the women expect the guy to have earning potential, earning a certain amount of money. And when you're
Yeah.
earning that a certain amount of money, you're required to put those hours in to make that money. And this is why I was saying, like, when we were speaking earlier about Venetia in her situation with Jabari, she's the one that's working all hours of the day and doesn't really have much time when she comes home, right? Cam is the same way in the Zadia dynamic because he's got multiple ventures and he's working a lot. She's an entrepreneur herself, but he
Right.
works even more than she does because he's got a job plus he's got a career in something else, in photography or
Right.
whatever it is as well. So if you're expecting to be the center of attention, a priority, you want him to allocate a lot of time to you, then there has to be you have to
Balance.
try and work around the fact that he's got this career and this job as well. The bills need to get paid. If he stops paying bills, if he cuts down one of his source of income, that may be a drastic loss of income for him, and that may put him in a situation where he's not necessarily as attractive financially to be with anymore. So you're gonna have to
Right.
take the rough with the smooth.
Say that last part.
You're gonna have to take the rough with the smooth. You're gonna have to say, okay, if that's the guy you want, then you have to be open to the fact that he's got to pay these bills, especially if you want a lifestyle for him to provide you with. You're going to take your foot off the gas once you get with this guy. You're going to keep your money, but his money is going to fund your lifestyle. Then, he's got to work for that. He's got to make them dollar bills, right?
Yeah, gotta make those donuts, as we say over here in the States. Gotta make those donuts.
Hmm.
Sean, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thought is number one, it was Zadia's birthday party, right?
Hmm.
Why did potentially everybody else have 2 dates?
Yeah.
I thought they had kept the keeper and just this. Who was responsible for inviting all the folks? Because if anything,
Production
I
work.
thought it would have been Venetia, your production, yeah. It should have been Venetia and Tabari. Should have been Ashley and Kirsten. But she got it. She got a chance to invite Donald. And then of course Sharice and Mazel and Denzi. So it's just craziness. Just looking at it, saying, interesting. All this is for Zadia's birthday party. You
Yeah,
know,
but they have more fun than kids. Huh?
it's just interesting. Yeah.
I guess, like
Oh
you said,
yeah.
production had to have some drama because everything is
Production.
relatively smooth.
Mm.
With them,
Oh yeah.
it's interesting because they're growing into a greater understanding of making sure they're on point. When you think about it, they have to be able to look at themselves and be honest about what they see, because they have a person that's a matchmaker. You should be using that person to the hilt, the fine tune and polish up your act. You know, you can't just have a matchmaker and still making all these major mistakes, because she's critiquing them to see about the progress that they're making or not making up with the people that they choose. So use everything to your advantage. Use everything to your advantage, because after all, you want to break this trend that you're in. You don't want to go into 40 still looking for love. And not having had it, I should say. Not having had it, you know. And 40, even 50, you're still looking for love, you know, haven't had it. So be fair to yourself. What your needs are. Be honest. It's time for them to make some critical changes in their life, you know. And Zadia, she's at the party with nobody. So come on now. You definitely need to work on yourself, okay?
Now, if Zadia is by herself at this party and it's her birthday party, and she's just waiting on Cam, isn't the onus on her to also now start to mingle with other guys, because she still has a process to get through? So are all her eggs in one basket with Cam?
Ooh, good question. Excellent question.
That's exactly it.
What to your own question, JR, how would you respond to that? And then we'll go around the panel.
I think, you know, I think by focusing on Cameron not being there and not focusing on who was there to mingle with, then, like I said, it kind of indicates that she has invested more in Cameron than maybe we realize at this point. Or maybe it's a cop out. Maybe, you know, she's not going to mingle with anybody else, and she's not interested in anybody else, and she's using the fact that Cameron's not there to not mingle with anybody else. So, I think it's a process, and if one guy isn't there, everybody else had 2 dates. Why are you not mingling, trying to create a second option?
And we're gonna get to something like that happen when we see next week's highlights. We're going to talk about that in a second. But let's carry on with your question. Let me ask the other panelists. Sean, what do you think about JR's question to us? Should Zadia, the actual birthday girl, should she been doing more mixing and mingling? What do you think?
Yeah, yes, indeed. Because she definitely she burned all the bridges with all the other dates that she had. So she didn't give those other guys any chances. So, you know, she never had any rapport with those other guys that she could have met at the party,
Exactly.
per se. I mean, because, you know,
And
so
that
I
goes back to what we
mean,
were
why
saying
not?
earlier.
Why not? I mean, hey, what would it have hurt, you know?
Yeah, because apparently at least one person, at least Vern, was giving out numbers and checking out what her options were. So,
There you go.
like I said, I like the way Vern moves on some things. Vern keeping all her options open. She said, "I'm no sucker."
Exactly. And now we're going to talk about also
Oh, yeah.
Vern.
I
The
know
guy
that's
that
right.
she got the number from is also someone that had, who was it? It was Sharice that he's spoken to.
Oh, yeah, let's get to that. Let's get there. We got a couple more things to cover. Okay, so Danzy's at the party. Danzy, the culture man, wants to go to Greece, and he knows all the right things to say. He's in pharmaceutical sales. He owns his own home, ladies. Okay, owns his own home. Says it's his dream home. So we're thinking that's at least a 4-bedroom with the 3 baths. Okay, you're doing really well. But he gets to the party, finds out that there is free liquor and wine, and he makes good use of it, all of it. He's cracking jokes. He's poor Sharice. He put his arm around the back of the seat and happened to brush her arm, and she is livid. I did not tell you, Negro, that I wanted your paws on me like that. Whew, child, take your hands down. Don't touch me. Meanwhile, later on, Mazel comes over, puts his arms around her. She leans into his arm and allows him to kiss her on the forehead. What do you say about these situationships?
Now, the question to me is this: Did the temperature drop? Because she said, "Oh, it's just too hot. It's too hot. It's too hot." But then she
She
leaned
said
into
that to
Mizell.
Danzy. She said that to Danzy, right? Wait a minute, hold on, slow
She
down
did
a
that
little
to
bit, Sean.
Daisy, but
She said that to Danzy, but what she say to Mizelle?
she said that. But when she leans into dance, and she leans into Mizell, and he gives her a forehead kiss. I mean, now to me, I don't know what the proximity of where the liquor was when he went and got her a drink versus Mizell coming over and sitting right in his spot. But Danzig was sitting. I don't know. I mean, I don't know whether the liquor was way far across the rooftop or in close proximity. But I know I would have felt like that. Daggone. She said, I can't touch her, but she up in this other dude's arms. Come on, something.
But
Make
maybe
it
he
make
didn't like.
sense. Make it
Maybe
make
she didn't
sense.
like him being intoxicated. Maybe not just the way. Maybe she doesn't like what him being intoxicated like that. But
Yeah.
Maybe so.
Marzel, she was
Maybe
okay
so.
with his presentation. Well, when you pay attention to people, you pay attention to people, the subtle things and pronounce as well. So if he all lick it up and he losing his cool, then maybe that's symptomatic of something she need to be concerned about. Marzel was okay. He was cool, calm, and collective. He wasn't he wasn't out of character. He Denzel, not Denzel, Danzy was just out of character.
Danzy, yeah.
Danzy, yeah. She was more comfortable with Marcel. So it wasn't so much Danzy, it was well, it wasn't so much. She was okay with it. She was okay with Marcel.
Being intoxicated, drunk, inebriated, it's a huge turn off for a lot of people. Whether it's a drunk guy or a drunk
That's
lady,
right. That's
it's time to not be around them. They need to go and fix it, sober up,
That's right.
and they also need to learn their limits and their boundaries when it comes to alcohol.
Unless that's just the way you like to
Exactly.
drink.
Right.
You over the top.
Exactly.
Be sociable, enjoying yourself, and you over the top.
Exactly. But like we said, like the first impressions last, right? If this is the first time she's seen him in a party or a social environment,
party
and he's going to lick it
environment.
up, and that's a turn off straight away. But Danzy likes BBWs. He likes beers, brews, and wines. That's what I take from that. Like he seems to be on. He seems to be the type of guy that's going to go straight for the liquor and have a good time. And his idea of a good time is getting wasted. That's not for everybody, especially when you're more grown. You've got more responsibilities. You have a presence on TV.
And your
or
person is supposed to be your game.
Yeah,
that's what he say, I got all this and got all that, but look at all the drinking you're doing. So maybe do you have all this and all that?
Exactly.
Right. Because typically in our society, typically, not always. Anybody can have a one-off. Let's say that. So maybe he's having a one-off today. In that episode. But like I said earlier, and I know people are going to think I'm just square, and that's okay because I am square. I grew up Kojic, right? Anybody knows about Church of God in Christ? Back in the day when the women didn't even wear makeup. I mean, all you were allowed to wear was powder your face and maybe put some clear lip gloss on, and you might be pushing it at that. Very, very conservative church, right? That's how I grew up. And though I'm not still a member of that denomination, that's my whole upbringing from birth till, let's say, 20. 21, right?
But that's foundation and stuff with you.
It's my foundation, and I pretty much stand by it because a lot of things that I was taught and I learned in behavior and socialization, they still ring true. They still ring true to this day because, like, for example, people I've met since then in college, in professional life, that never spent a day in a Church of God in Christ church, a lot of them that are successful, highly successful people, abide by most of those rules. They don't go out in public. They don't get publicly drunken because there's a perception about a person that is publicly drunken, right? And I'm going to say this because nobody asked me, but I'm the only lady on the panel, so I feel this imperative for me to say this and interject this right now. I know we've been laughing about Danzy, and he was being silly. I will say, for the most part, there are people that drink and they have a spirit that comes out from the liquor, and his spirit was basically silly. So it seems like it's harmless enough. But what I'm going to tell you as a woman, that a lot of the men on the panel and probably out in our chat probably have never considered is, as a woman, I'm gonna tell you something. If you're out in public and a man had too much to drink, and he begins to put his arm on the back of your chair where you're sitting at, leans in to touch you, maybe to kiss you, or just even touching your arm, what you know as a woman instinctively, and if you are over 30, what you know from experience is a man that's been drinking too much or doing any kind of chemical enhancement, if you will, is that one thing will go left real quick. He starts to touch your arm. The next thing you know, he's touching some other stuff.
Mhm.
And so I totally rock with Sharice
Mhm.
on this one, because when you get to touching me and my person and I've not given you permission, all bets are off. And if you don't want to be embarrassed by me publicly, you better move swiftly to take your hand off my arm, my shoulder, whatever it is, because I have embarrassed more than one man in a public setting that
Mm.
my body belongs to me. And what you won't do is touch me in any kind of way.
Exactly. I agree 100% with that. And you're right. Sharice was right in that instance to distance herself from that dude because, as we've seen, I think it was a couple of seasons ago, sometimes when there's drink involved, people can get over friendly and it's a completely misread signal. And I'm not saying Sharice was given any signals. I'm saying this guy was way over drunk and anything could be pursued as a signal if he's in that state and he continues to drink, right? So it's a very dangerous situation to be in, and I don't fault her for getting away. And the thing is, um, again, it comes down to how you control your alcohol if you are a drinker.
Yeah.
Like, because we know that it impairs your judgment. So if you drink a lot of it, that's a lot of impaired judgment that you might potentially have if you're in a one-on-one
Yes.
situation with someone. So it's a very dangerous place to be.
Yeah, it gets dangerous. I mean, it's not just only, as we know now,
Yeah.
I think about this. How, let me just say this real quick too. How did this man get home? Hopefully maybe there was a Uber, there was a
That's true.
limo driver, production had established for these participants, because how did he get home?
Yeah.
How did he get home?
Couch.
That's
It's
true.
just
I
it's
was just
just
thinking about the same thing.
it's just the challenges that go with any kind of abuse. The challenges that go along with it, because if you're working towards being with somebody, commitment, all that, they look at you. Well, I can't do you. You have a problem that can really be a problem a lot more than what you realize. If you for anything that you abuse, your body, drugs, alcohol, whatever substance that you abuse, you just are not a good candidate for a commitment, because that may take priority over anything else. That's the problem with it. It's not a judgment call. It's just that may be your focal point a lot more than what you really realize. When it comes to abusing anything. So you have to
Right.
think when you're not a good candidate for a mate, when you coming into a situation, we're just starting out and you just, not in control of yourself with substances. That's the challenge. But in terms of substance abuse and alcohol or anything, people need to see that party before they commit to you.
Yeah, I'm glad they had all the men come to the party, even though it wasn't the ladies that had the both dates at the party. I think that's an excellent time to see a man, especially when there's free alcohol, because let me see what you do with that. Let me
That's right.
see how cultured you are then, because we found out that the guy that appeared to be the most cultured in that circumstance became the least cultured. Okay, so and
When I look
last,
at it, I see.
yeah, go on.
Oh, I apologize. I see that. As I don't know whether it was edited or what have you. That the corny jokes he was giving, like what they say about liquor, you got to drink it, and all that, and that crazy stuff,
Right.
and somebody somebody posted a picture in our Facebook group that he had spilled his drink on his shirt. So I don't know what I got to go back and look at
Oh,
it
wow.
carefully and look at that scene again and see if he got liquor spilled on the drink on the shirt.
Oh wow.
So, and then he supposedly had said some phrase in French. He supposedly had said some phrase in
Yeah,
French,
it
but
wasn't
he
a
did not know
phrase.
what he said. You know,
It was
ooh la
nonsense. He
la,
used
He
c'est
all the
toi,
cliche French words, the
and she's like, "What
stereotypical
did you
French
say?
words. It
I
made
have no
no
idea."
sense whatsoever.
did not say voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce
He
soir.
didn't
He did
say
not say
nothing
that,
like
did
that.
he? Yes,
No,
I know
I'm
that
glad
one.
he. I'm
Patty
glad. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he didn't.
exactly.
LaBelle said on
I'm
an
glad
interview.
he did because I know what that means. I know what that
Well, you know what? That's funny that we know what it means now. But
I know
Patty
what that means.
LaBelle
I know
said
what the
years
translation
ago
is.
on an interview, she sang that song for so many years,
She know what
and
I
then
mean.
one day she actually found out what that meant in French. I
hmm
was like,
Yeah, he
okay,
didn't say
okay,
none of that.
girl.
He was like parlez-vous, bonbons, oui, oui, something like that.
Hey, what,
And,
Jr. Would
and
you
remember,
say
the
that it
song was
has to
about New
do?
Orleans. She said we met down in New
Right,
Orleans.
right. Right. Wait a minute. Hey, JR, would you
Oh,
say
yeah.
that song has to do with something to do with the yams, maybe?
Of course. Yeah, it's like, do you want to come to the bedroom? You want to, yeah. But she should have done her
So Jay, I
research
know for
before
Fred.
she made that song. She found out like 3 decades, 4 decades too late.
I got kicked out of sophomore French class, but I knew what that meant though.
hmm
Hey,
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Okay, you guys are killing.
hey,
Okay, we gotta go
and the
to
song was a little bit deeper than that. It was about
Oh yeah!
prostitution.
Oh, it was definitely exactly that in a nutshell. You're not gonna let the people go Google it, Sean.
Moulin
Let the
Rouge.
people Google it.
He said, "Hey, Joe, want to
hmm
give it a go?"
Right. Yeah. Itchy, yeah. um,
Listen, if it's
but
itching, then
about
there's a problem too.
right. But about next week when we come back, we will have seen these scenes, what they are talking about. I lost my place, so I'm stalling for time. Somebody help me out here. We see basically. Because last thing we did not see. We didn't talk about this, guys. Real quick. Donald arrived. Donald arrived, which
Mhm,
is Ashley's ex keeper.
mhm.
But yet they've still been talking. So he arrived and he gave her a big spin. He picked her up and spun her around and she was excited. What did you guys think about that before we get to the next week? I see JR on the top of his
Production.
head. He's just shaking his head. So I don't even think he has to say anything. You want to say something, JR? What are you gonna say about
Yeah,
that?
listen, production put that in like a spanner in the works, like because the
That needs
connection
some
they had,
drama.
yeah, like just
You need
some
drama.
drama, some intrigue, create. It's like in Ready to Love when they bring the what they call them, the additional people. I can't remember the name
Oh,
they
the
give them.
curveballs.
The curveball,
X
yeah, it's
figures.
like a curveball. You bring Donald back into the mix,
Curveball.
but the problem is
Mhm.
Ashley hasn't got any solid connections yet. That Kirsten thing's finished, so she's back available again. So Donald coming back
Yeah.
now, like I said, it does help that she let him down gently, but I still think that what she let go of him over was very, is it wasn't worthy of an exit, in my opinion. And now he's back. Okay, so she's going to double back
Reestablish
to
yourself.
Donald. Yeah, but now are they going to be able to resolve their communication problem? If they're, he said he was going to before. He apologized. He said he'll do better, and he still got let go. So um, don't know. But yeah, I agree. I agree with Donna D as well. Like she should never have kept Kirsten. I think the attraction to Kirsten was their initial chemistry. They were bouncing back and they were very playful with one-liners and some wit and some humor.
Yeah.
And I think that elevated Kirsten a lot, especially coming from Donald, who isn't like that. But yeah, so I think at least she didn't obliterate him like we've seen Zadia do on occasion. And
Right.
there's a
But
chance there, but I'm not sure how long it's gonna last.
But JR, can I ask you a quick question? But do you think that maybe also, I get what you're saying, that the two of them had wit in those early first days, talking about Kirsten and Ashley right now. But do you think also that Ashley decided on Kirsten because what is he, like 6'5", 6'6"?
Yeah,
And
he's
he
tall.
has a certain look that maybe she's attracted to
Yes, of
versus
course.
Donald.
That plays a lot to do with it. I mean, it not only in that instance, but in the instance that we were just talking about a little while ago, with whether Charisse putting her head into one guy's
Right.
lap while telling the other guy, "Don't touch me." You know, it's about attraction as well. Like you allow certain things for the person you're more attracted to, whereas if you're not attracted to them at all, you kind of shut it down quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Mm.
I think Kirsten is definitely, most ladies would find Kirsten attractive if they're going for the 6 foot,
Yeah.
fairly well groomed, fairly attractive in the face type guy, right?
Hmm.
Former basketball player, so he's athletic. He might have some basketball money somewhere, you know. So
Right.
he might tick a lot of boxes, but ultimately, um, Donald may have been a better fit if she had chosen to ride with him,
Yeah.
and forgive that the message mishap, because it wasn't his fault. It was the network and the iPhones and the Androids. You can't control
Yeah,
that.
those darn iPhones, Androids. My kids kept after me because I was the last one in the family to get an iPhone. So now we all connect, right? When we're
Mhm,
not feuding.
mhm.
Mhm.
So moving on. Thank you for that. Sean, what were your thoughts about Don and the Donald, as I like to call him, the Donald and Ashley reuniting like peaches and herb?
That was I agree wholeheartedly with what JR said. It was production driven because that was the way to move Kirsten out the way so that Donald could come back in. Now only to see next week another hiccup happens. But anyway, I think it was production driven.
Okay.
You know,
I did tell you I was
because
married,
what
right?
Zadia asked him, why don't you ask Donald to come? Why don't you invite Donald? And she gonna invite him at the last minute.
Right.
Now, not
Right.
too many
But she
men.
had
I
been
don't know. I mean, I
communicating
can't
with him.
speak for
She had
every
been
man,
communicating
but
with him, though.
not too many men
Hold on,
gonna
Calvin.
come at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
had been
that's
communicating. Yeah,
true.
the door wasn't closed. You know, you gonna,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you know. Well, ask me at the
She
last
invited
minute.
him at the last minute. Donald showed up, and
Mm-hmm.
then the on the flip side of it, Kirsten, who allegedly was invited early on,
Kirsten doesn't.
we don't even see Kirsten at the party, as well as we don't see Cameron at the party.
Mm-hmm.
So Kirsten would have been there for Ashley, and Cameron would have been there for
Mm-hmm.
Zadia. Right. So moving on over to Calvin. Calvin,
Hmm.
what are your thoughts about the Donald and Ashley situationship?
Well, like JR said, they needed some drama. And it's been relatively smooth selling with this series, so they tend to be more diplomatic, but they maybe production needed some drama just to kind of show that all is not well. But let's be fair, she um she needs to Ashley needs to be more in tune with herself and be okay with herself again. It goes back to her having all these insecurities and not really understanding what love is, and that's what people love is just interesting. It's not all that which it's a lot more to love than what people realize to make it for it to be sustainable. Just as we saw with Danzig, he was a culture individual, had this and had all that, but then he just started throwing it back and the real person came out. So
Mm.
if you want something, just roll with it and see how it's gonna grow. Because if it's not gonna grow, it's not gonna grow. But if it's meant to be, it is. But just be patient. Don't just dismiss people because they don't fit the boxes that you think they should fit. Be honest with yourself. Are you really, 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 really ready to love? Or you just want the facade? It takes a lot to be um, a part of the process, but you have to be willing to be who you need to be too.
Oh,
I'm rooting for them all. But be
rooting
honest
for
with
them
yourself.
all.
Be honest with yourself. If you really want love, you have to be patient and understanding of a person and use better judgment. Don't just be moved by impulse or feeling.
the problem is this process isn't about this isn't going to allow them to be patient and have that
Yeah.
understanding, because patience takes time, and
Takes
then
time. Yeah.
they're not thinking about the time aspect. They're thinking about what you're showing me right now, and But I think it would be interesting if Donald and Kirsten showed up.
Yeah.
That would be interesting if both
And
guys
the other
showed up.
one that did show, what's his name? Cameron. The one that
Oh,
did
oh, if
show.
Donald Kirsten,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that would have been because, and you know what? Oh, see, I'm petty like that. I'm petty like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say I'm Ashley. Okay, and here's Kirsten who did not quite perform as I thought he should have last week with Stormy, and then
Hmm.
there's Donald. The Donald. Oh yeah, then I could see Ashley's reaction to the Donald more so than I could with
Yeah.
Kirsten not being there. Cause see,
Mm-hmm.
I'm petty. I would have played it up. I would have been like all over the Donald, but
Mm-hmm.
no. With Kirsten not there, I would have been very regular and demure. I'd have been happy to see him, but no. I think that sometimes we women have to remember that less is more with men.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're coming back from some perceived faux
Mhm.
pas that supposedly that he didn't text her, didn't call her, we know that he did text her. To your point, Jr. But my thinking is, I do go a little step further and think
Mm-hmm.
that why didn't he call her?
Yeah.
Why didn't she call him?
Mm-hmm.
I would have played it down just a tad more
Yeah.
if Kirsten had been there. However, then I would have been very giddy like a little schoolgirl because I can do that. You know, I can be an actress when I want to be. But no, you gotta, because men do it too. Men play games with us women, and sometimes you got to have a little bit of gamesmanship in the dating game because that's why it's called the dating game. But we're gonna get to next week real quick. Ashley finds out, getting back to the Don, Ashley finds out that the Donald has been married before and
Mm-hmm.
divorced. We find that out. We also see that Ashley tells Kirsten that him not showing up for her, he really let her down. And then she goes on to say that she has let a man go for something like that.
Hmm.
Ah, that's grating on my nerves right there. That part right there. It's not that she let him know what he did was disappointing to her, but
Hmm.
when she says she let another man go, always bringing back into the conversation with her, it's either another woman,
Or
it's
another
either
guy.
another man. It's never just about those two. I find that very disappointing. Am I the only
Right.
one that's seeing this pattern?
Yeah, but he's not really invested in her.
Who?
He's not really
You're
invested
right.
in her. I mean, Ashley,
Hmm.
you know, she doesn't have. She's not a person that you have to put that much into. That's
Hmm.
what I had to put that
She's
much.
not
Into her.
requiring it, is what you're
That's
saying. I
not.
think
That's not. She doesn't.
Exactly.
she's not requiring it.
She
Not
doesn't
that
cry
she's
out.
not worthy. You're not saying that, but you're just
No, no.
saying
She
she's
doesn't
not
require all
requiring
that
her
because
men to invest that
all
much
you
in
have to do
her.
is just whistle her. I mean, look in her direction, and she all over. She needs validation, and he knows that. So, you know.
Exactly. Now
Mm,
I'll say two things. I would say, first of all, um, she needs to be careful how she goes about handling Kirsten, because now that she's found out that Donald's been married before, if that's a
mm,
problem for her, then she might have to double back to Kirsten again. And then, like we said before, like, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you've been married before and have had a family before, then that can play against you sometimes. And then other times, some people are more appreciative and they don't hold it against you because
yeah,
they expect you to have had a life before you've come on the
that's
show.
right. Mm.
So it depends how Ashley wants to play it. But don't burn bridges with Kirsten if you feel you might need to double back now that Donald's been married before.
But don't burn bridges with yourself,
Mm.
Ashley.
Ooh.
Be okay with who you are, because I thought you're trying to find somebody, but you need to find out who you really are too.
Hmm.
And be okay with yourself.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mhm.
Sean, what are your thoughts about the situation with Ashley for next week?
Well, I think it's not like the man said that he was currently married.
Okay, that's a
it
good
goes
point.
back to
Excellent.
the blind date she had, and I mean, when she asked the man what had he been doing for 10 years, and he said he was in situationships. Well, life happened with Donald too. He was married, now he's divorced, assuming.
Right.
So it's not like he said, she's. It's not like, okay, well, look, I got something to tell you, baby. I'm married. Now you can't tell me in the 4 weeks they've been dating, quote unquote, that he never mentioned that to her.
Right. This is
She
what
might not
I
have
was
even
talking to
asked.
JR about this very thing earlier today. Wasn't I, JR? You
Yeah,
can't
you
tell
did.
me that the two of them, you can't tell me that she doesn't already know this. But
Well,
now go ahead.
it
Go
could
ahead.
it could be
Doesn't.
production, but she might not have even asked. But the thing is,
Yeah.
based on how we've
Mhm.
seen Ashley show up with the level of insecurity she may have, I think she may have a problem with that because she's assuming that she will be his first if they were to make it. Then
Ah.
now she's gonna have to compare how he was with the ex-wife.
Ah.
How did she's gonna want to find out details. Where did you get married? How long were you married for? What wedding dress did she wear? Okay, well,
Is she curvier than me? Is she prettier than me?
exactly. What did she look like? Did she look like me? Do you have a type?
Does she have bigger
But there's a lot
headlights?
of double standards here
Is she
across
got
the
bigger
board.
headlights?
Does she have big headlights?
Bigger headlights, bigger airbags.
There's a
Oh
lot of
my
double
goodness.
standards across the board.
Before
I
we
mean, you,
devolve,
you
hold on, JR. Hold on before we devolve too low. Before we devolve too low, we got one last thing though. So we got, speaking of headlights, we see next week Vern tells Sharice that Mazel has been texting her and
Hmm.
wanting to go out with her. What do you guys make of that? What? How did Mazel even get Vern's phone number?
Because she gave it to him.
Ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
I
Because
think me.
I'm sure if she didn't give it to him and he obtained her number some other way, she would have locked it down and been like, "No, I don't want you calling me. How
Yeah,
you're with Sharice." I think
right.
she must have given it to him. And
Yeah, she
Vern
wouldn't talk
was
about it.
quite upfront and told Sharice the situation, and Sharice doesn't really care because she's not invested. She was like, "Well, he ain't been calling me, so you haven't."
Yeah.
Yeah, but wait a minute, JR, did we make an assumption here? Did you make an assumption? Did Mazel actually tell Sharice, or is
No,
Vernicia?
Venetia told Sharice.
Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, maybe he did. I think that would have been the gentlemanly thing to do, right?
No, it was
You're
Venetia. She
seeing
said
someone. No?
Venetia and Sharice were sitting down together in the kitchen, I think, and she said, "Well,
Okay.
he called me and Mazel, or whatever his name is," and she was like, "Oh, well, he
Wow.
ain't been calling me."
But here's the gap.
Hmm.
Here's the
What's that?
gap. Here's the gap.
What's that?
What happened in between the party? What happens in between the party and Mazel getting Bernicia's number? Because Sharice was all in his lap and he gave her a forehead kiss. Now, what happens in between that? I mean, I'm sure it's like some time in between each setting. So maybe they
Yeah.
had this little spat, brouhaha. I don't know what it could have been. And he said, "Forget this. I ain't dealing with you, Sharice. You just too much drama. So I'm just gonna pick the older, the well, she and Sharice, Sharice a little bit older than she is, and so I'm just gonna pick the more refined woman. I'm gonna pick Venetia, what have you, the quiet woman, and who ain't gonna demand too much of me like Sharice is. So I think something had to happen in between time. Because to me, it doesn't make
Oh.
sense. It doesn't make
Well,
sense.
wait a minute.
But now for him
Okay,
just to start communicating with her and ask for,
I would go with what you're saying. I would go with it, Sean, but there's one flaw in it, okay? At least from my perspective as a viewer. I would go with exactly
okay,
what you're saying. If something happened, Sharice was not interested in him and just feigning for the cameras when she leaned in for the forehead kiss. But I would go with you, except there's one problem with that theory. If that's the case, how did Mazel get Vernicia's number when the only time that we saw them on camera, even in the same setting with Vernicia, who he was not dating, was at the party? So he had to have asked her at the party, which is the same party that he was kissing Sharice on her forehead. So how about that?
Yeah, very, very likely. Because where else would they have been in the
Well,
same
I
proximity
mean,
to that conversation to have
They
happened?
found a way, okay? They found
maybe so. Because
yeah.
Maziel was the only one that bought Zadia a gift.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, good point.
Maziel was
Good
the only one
point.
that bought Zadia a gift.
Uh-huh.
Good point.
They bought Zadia a gift. He was bodied close up with Charisse, and then he's been messaging Venetia.
He's just gonna shoot all his shots around. Somebody gonna hit.
Now he gonna end up with nobody
Daddy Maziel, that's it.
if they all talk about it, then he ain't gonna end up with none of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, Sean, there's a little hitch with your theory. At the same time you're kissing my forehead, you already plotting my demise, and you've already moved on to Vernicia and her headlights. I don't know, but to be fair, guys, if we go back to episode 1, we realized that wasn't it the matchmaker Tamika that sat the ladies all down and said, you know what, you guys do realize that you'll probably be dating the same guys at some point. Be an overlap.
It's fair game
So
because
it's fair game.
even Kirsten, I think Kirsten had a date with Zadia before he even got with Ashley, right? I think.
Right. That's true.
Yeah,
So they're allowed to mix and match with these 25 guys. They can date whoever. There isn't this thing where if you've dated one, you can't date the rest. That's not the rules.
That's true. That is so true. Well, guys, on that note, I think we covered pretty much everything that was of importance, everything that I had in my notes, everything that I can think of. Things are definitely heating up. It's going to be interesting for me, for one, I'll say, to see how long Cameron can stick it out, because right now Zadia seems to be has only eyes for Cameron, and we'll also see next week whether or not he's actually there, because let JR tell it, if he were a betting man, he's betting that Cameron is there and that he's being held back by production. So we will see. We shall see.
Yeah. I think they're trying to set up some drama where they have
Where is our friend
Ron
says?
Hold up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think they're trying to set up some type of drama where you didn't come to my party. What happened? And then he's gonna have to explain himself. Well, that's not good enough. I want to be a priority in your life. I want to, something like that, something along those lines.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't necessarily think it's the end for them, though. It depends
You
what
mean
the reason was.
you don't think it's the end for Zadia and Cameron?
Nah. Because she did, like I said, she didn't really mingle with anybody else. So I think she's pretty invested in him.
She is. She really does seem to be invested. And once again, I guess, Sean, what are your thoughts on it? What are your final thoughts?
Well, as our friend Ron Freeman says, it's TV. It's TV.
That's right. We got to get Ron
That's
back
all,
in
it's
here.
TV.
Ron and I we've been communicating, but we got to get Ron back in here. I think he's afraid to come on and talk to us because, these are the one woman on the show, at least I know for sure, and that's Vernicia, is his friend. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if I can work my charming magic and get him back on here. But I think we will. I think he'll have to come on. He definitely have to come back on for the reunion for sure. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ron. You're gonna have to come back on for the reunion. No. You gotta show your Detroit pride and your Detroit love to your girl. You gotta come back. But Calvin, what's your final takeaway for this week's episode?
Interesting to say the least, because I think they're getting more into understanding themselves, because they have the Tamika, the matchmaker, so utilize her more because she's trying to get you to see how important that you understand the value that you have. If you make mistakes, do something different. Like they say, it's not etched in stone who you're going to date at this point in time, but just be fair to yourself when you're choosing somebody. Make sure this is a good match for you. And if it's not, why do you continue to make the same mistakes over and over?
Right. Calvin,
Mm-hmm.
very briefly, because we're stretched on time a little bit, but can you tell our viewers about your book that is available on Amazon? Could you tell us the title? I think I see it in the back
Oh,
to
yes.
your left.
That's right. Be Ye Transformed by the Renewal of the Mind is the title of the book. It's all about the importance of how you think and how you function and how you operate, and being aware of the role that you play. Just don't be a victim. Create a pathway for yourself. Don't be passing your wall. You have a lot of value. Just operate from that vantage point. Whatever you're going through, you can go through.
That's right.
It's available on Amazon.com, Borders.com as well. Also, I do a YouTube segment on the transformation process. I just did a segment. Just happened, I did a podcast with another gentleman on the principle on the importance of mental health and mental wellness. The site is on my page. Detroit Loud is the segment to go to. It's time for change, and we have an awesome mind. Just be in tune with it. Be mindful of the thoughts that you entertain and your authority over your life.
All right. And I'm going to get over there and check that out. I did see one of the videos you did with this gentleman,
Yeah.
Detroit Loud. I got to go
Detroit
over and check
Loud,
out.
yeah. About mental health, and the
Yeah, I'm
fact
going to
that
go
it's
check.
life after adversities.
Thank you. I'm going to go check that out. And then I got to contact him. I know you left me his phone number. So
Yes.
maybe doing some more collaborations with him. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Sean, how may people reach you?
Yes, you can reach me in two different ways, Facebook as well as Instagram. Facebook, you can find me under my first and last name, Shaun, last name Stokes. That's once again Shaun, last name Stokes. And then on IG is my first initial Sandre, last initial S1906. So Sandres 1906 Instagram. Thank you.
Okay. Donna D has to weigh in on that. Vernicia giving her phone number. So in the meantime, I'm going to ask our resident JRXTV to tell us what he's got going on as I find his information. You guys got to go over and support JR.
Yeah, I'm JRX TV. Thank you for that, Aubrey. I'm JRX TV on Instagram, JRX TV on YouTube, health, fitness, well-being, relationships, podcasts. Like, share, and subscribe all of the content that you like for all of us creators that you follow, and it helps us immensely, and we appreciate it.
All right. JR remembered all the things that are thinging this week. Very good, JR. Very good.
It's the bell. It's the new bell.
Yeah, as you can tell, it's new to me because I'm going to wear it out tonight. But I thank you all of our wonderful viewers and those in the chat and those that will come on the replay that I know will hit that like button. We want to thank you for being here, and we'll see you back here same time, same place next week, guys. Say goodbye.
Thank you. Bye. Enjoy your week.
Bye. Have a nice evening. Peace.
Good night. Thank you all. Shalom.
All right. Love you guys. See you
Love
next
you too.
week.
Love you too now.